Well, good evening and welcome to another edition of Sky Blue Fans TV. By the fans, for the fans. Now, as you can see on the screen, we've got some very, very special guests tonight. We've got Richard Overson. Good evening, Richard. Can you hear me, Richard? I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me, Chris? Are you there?
I can hear you, Claudio. You're coming through loud and clear here, mate.
I don't know what Richard's doing. I was hoping he could hear me. Vicky, how are you, Vicky?
Yeah, good, thanks.
Well, an interesting weekend, really, in the last few days, what with all the speculation around what's going to happen. And, of course, we don't know what's going to happen. There's a meeting tomorrow night. But I want to concentrate on the game first and talk about yesterday's game, because that wasn't too bad. Richard, can you hear me? I don't know if you can hear me. You can see me. Well, I'll tell you what, we'll start with you, Vicky. What did you make to the team selection?
Well, there was we were expecting, obviously, Eccles to be out with a suspension, and Sheaf and Dobbin were obviously slightly more unexpected with their sort of late knocks. Well, I guess generally the team showed the weaknesses in our squad, didn't they? Because there was a few newbies there, and at the end of a sort of fairly traumatic couple of days, it was a slightly worrying lineup, I suppose, wasn't it? Because we didn't really know what to expect, and
I think Rich can't hear me for some reason, which is a bit weird. I don't know what's going on there, because we were talking earlier. I'll tell you what, I'll remove him and bring him back in again. Can you hear me now, Richard?
Can you hear any of this?
Yeah, I don't know if you've got the volume down. Sorry, Vicky, you were saying it's a bit awkward, isn't it? What's going on? This is
technical curveballs.
We've had a bit of a mare because Ken's been trying to get on, and something's been happening that end. So whether or not they're all trying to. We've had a bit of a mare because Ken's been trying to get on, and something's been happening that end. So we don't know what's going on. Right, Richard, can you hear me now? No, he can't, can he? Oh, this is one of those nights, isn't it? Oh, he's gone back off. Maybe he's going to come back on again. Right. So, Vicky, sorry, you were saying, sorry.
I just was saying it was obviously there was some unexpected changes and there was obviously slightly worrying without Sheaf. I guess how the midfield would cope without him and Eccles, especially after a sort of fairly traumatic couple of days. I thought as a positive, Collins, who's obviously dropped right down to third choice goalkeeper, came in and did a great job under the circumstances. So that was a positive. Yeah.
I tell you what, I mean, I actually thought, we hadn't a clue about the injuries, did we?
No.
And we got wind of it, obviously, when they announced the lineup. And I actually thought we could be in trouble here today because what's happened the last couple of days, and then with this lineup, I just don't know what to expect. But I actually thought that, Richard, you were there, weren't you?
Yeah.
I mean, what did you make to that first half? Because I actually thought we started really well.
Yeah, I thought we played well. You know, we battled well. It was a bit like when we first went into the Championship in the first season, where no one expected us to win, and we battled and battled. We played Brentford.
Yeah.
It was very much like that, really. You know, we didn't have any playmakers, but we had 11 players that were, I thought, fighting for the shirt, fighting for each other. Sunderland had some good players. You know, they were, especially down the wings in the first half. But I think we just needed belief yesterday. You know what I mean? And what was the most important thing is the team yesterday, they'd all got only 12 months experience.
Yeah.
There was no experienced player going back to 2-3 years with Sheaf not playing, Bidwell not playing. So, you know, those lads that started and the ones that came on. I thought Bissett, actually, he's like Vardy, isn't he, when he came on? I mean, he was... but no, I thought, like you just said, Collins in goal, considering... I think he was under the weather as well, from what I gather. I thought he was outstanding. It was funny, we had our third choice keepers, didn't we? Either end, Moore and Collins.
It's ridiculous, wasn't it? I mean, myself and Chris, we were watching it and messaging each other, weren't we? And it was really weird because we were saying, "Oh, what a great start! We're doing really well." And then in my notes, I put 16 minutes, concede a goal, typical.
Yeah.
The thing is, me and Chris were praising them, going, "This is a really good start. This, I reckon we're going to get something here today. We're playing. Oh, we've just let a goal in."
It literally was like that.
And I just thought, this is so typical. You know, we need a break, don't we? We really do need a break today. And I mean, the goal, he took it well, but what do you reckon, Chris? I reckon we could have done something defensively on that. I thought we stood off him way too easily.
Yeah, he had too much room, too much time in the box, which is a feature of our defence this season, to be honest. I mean, you've pointed out many times that obviously we didn't improve the defence at all in the summer. And the same mistakes are happening. It is costing us goals. I mean, on the face of it, they both looked aesthetically pleasing, Sunderland's goals. They were good goals, but you were both born out of not closing the ball down, not pressing the ball. And, you know, it happens time and again, and we concede from it. So that is a little bit of a negative. So whoever does come in needs to try and stamp that out. But on the whole, I thought on the base of the 90 minutes, I thought it was a really good performance from the lads in what must have been very difficult circumstances.
I mean, I made a note here, and I put very quiet in the stadium. Would you agree with that, Richard? Because I could hear our fans. I could not hear them at all. Really poor.
But was it 42,000 there? It didn't feel like.
It's the largest crowd we've played in front of for donkey's years. Yeah. Since Jim Brown gave me the date, I've forgotten it now, but we're going back a fair few years, and the 1 minute silence felt like it went on for about 20 minutes until they scored. Because
you didn't hear their song. I don't know what their song is, their anthem or anything.
No.
You didn't hear anything, or no, there was nothing really. I mean, you know, unfortunately or whatever, we were chanting, you know, for Mark Robbins, and then the unfortunate Doug King songs really, but. Apart from that, you didn't hear anything.
So how did you?
They were walking out when it was. They were walking out with 10 minutes to go.
Yeah. How did it feel before the game started? Then the atmosphere within our fans.
It was strange. It was like you were going to a funeral, really. You know, what I mean, sort of people were sort of murmuring, and in groups. It was a weird. I don't think people really knew. As I said, you know. We're not used to, are we, changing managers? You know, we've got 7 years of the same manager. So this is completely different for us. We don't know what to do we? No. As I said before, we need a 2-day bender where we all have a drink and then get over it, and then
with Mark Robbins.
Yeah.
With Mark Robbins and Fads. It's all gone a 2-day. Well, it'd be longer than a 2-day bender.
Before. I wouldn't recommend it going for a drink with Fads, by the way. I wouldn't recommend
No. Ken, you don't sound like a Dalek.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear. I don't know what was going on, but your equipment was all buzzy.
I'm not sure, mate, but I just basically turned it off and reset it, come back on again. So you can't hear. It's all gone.
Off and on, and that's what you need to do. A bit like our performance, off and on, aren't they? You never know what you're going to do. So what did you make to the? We've just talked about the lineup and everything. So what did you make to start? Because it was a surprise, wasn't it? All the players coming in and out. I think it's 4 changes. It was.
Yeah, I mean, we are surprised. I thought when Sheaf was missing, that was bad news. I thought, oh, here we go. We could get hammered here with Sheaf not being in. That was a bit of a shock. But to be fair, I think the lads battled back really well. And I thought, I mean, okay, Sunderland played well. They scored some good goals. But, you know, I just thought we matched them. Second half, we came out fighting. And we got the goals as well. And if anything, we probably could have re-looked the one that was probably going and get the winner at the end of the day. And I know they're a young side. I know, Claudio, you kept saying in the past they're a very young side, and which they are. I don't know. I can't see them sustaining that top of the league, because I think there's better teams in that league than him. I'm going on that performance.
But what they've done is, because they've won so many games at the start, they've got a bit of a buffer zone now, haven't they? Which is the great thing of having a good start to the season. So they've had 3 draws. I mean, and then we are we have got a good squad. It's a decent squad, so they should be able to perform, shouldn't they? You know, we've seen it on occasions this season. We haven't seen it enough. But what I thought was Lati Bodier. I thought Lati had a great game yesterday.
He did. He had a great game.
He's a good talker, though. He's a good talker, Claudio. I think he talks them. Yeah. He talks there, and he's behind them, and he's pointed, and that's what they want. That's what they did.
And also, it's like a lot of the weeks we've been saying, why didn't Mark Robins play him in midfield as an option? We felt like we needed somebody to go in there. And he seemed reluctant to do it, even though he used to say, well, yeah, we know he does it for Jamaica, but we've got other players who can do it. Well, maybe those other players weren't quite on it. You know, you needed to change it. Yeah. I'm going to go back to you, Richard. Now, I know you sent me a clip, which I remember, which I've actually got anyway, and we tried to upload it. And I said I wanted you to talk about your relationship with the club, if you don't. Is that okay? I know yeah. When Sisu were around. So what I want to know is how did you get involved in the first place? 'Cause it's a bit weird, isn't it? It's like, you know, some random.
Yeah. I mean, my first game was 1977. You know, I'm a fan.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I was lucky enough in business to sell my business. So I was involved with Gary Hoffman and Joe Elliott when they did the consortium to try and buy it. And then I walked away when London Wasps were involved in the council. So I sort of said, this isn't for me. And it really wasn't going anywhere. And they had that bloke. Remember Dale? I can't remember his name now. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, part of that. So, you know, I walked away. But then I was already friendly with Tyne and Scope and Dave Boddy.
Yeah.
So I'd sort of, in my mind, committed I was going to spend some money, if that makes sense, within if we were going to buy the club, I was going to do something there. So I just turned around to Dave Boddy and Tyne and said, look, you know, I'm a fan, even though I've been on the other side trying to buy the club. I'll be interested if, you know, you need any help. And I think at the time there, Sisu were like falling out of love with it. And so really, the club were having to generate their own cash. You know what I mean?
So what sort of time, what year are we looking at here?
This was when League Two. So Mark Robins, this was League Two. Yeah. It was just before the playoffs. So it was February, wherever it was, 2017, 18, whatever it was. Right. So just before League Two season, just before we got there. So I went and saw Dave Boddy and said, look, okay, I've got a portion of cash here I've put aside, sort of thing. And my wife's okayed that. So
I said to my wife, I said, if we won the big, massive 145 million, I'm going to try and buy the club. She went, no, you're not.
Yeah. So, and at the time, this was where Sisu really had run out of money. So that was where the club would just sort of had to generate cash if they wanted to buy an iPad or little things, you know what I mean? They had to do it and they had no money.
So how serious was the cash flow then?
Very. I mean, right at the end, I would say very, very badly.
Right.
I don't think that's. I think Dave Boddy's already.
Previous
show said that really. So when I first got involved, it was more to do with, and my criteria, if that's the right thing, was that I wouldn't put any money towards transfers or paying wages. I wanted anything I put in. I wanted to see was a benefit to the players. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
On the pitch or and like that. So I first met Mark then Robins, and we sat down and he sort of had a list of a wish list really. So we went through it, and that was doing iPads, lots of things in the training ground really, and we sort of went on from that. And then the training ground was in a bad state. I mean, Doug King thought he's done brilliantly, by the way, with the training ground. So I'm not trying to decry that. But if it had walked in there when I walked in there, it was terrible. It was honestly porta cabins. There was nothing there at all. So we put a new dressing room in there. The kitchens were terrible, and the canteen people walked out. So for 3 months, I was actually cooking. I was getting my lad to cook. He's a butcher. And Marco's in Stratford. He was doing lasagna in Stratford, and I was taking it to a training ground and serving them.
That's incredible. So what I don't understand here, we were owned by Sisu. So why couldn't they pay for all this?
I don't know. I think it got to the stage where, a bit like Cry Wolf, isn't it? I think they kept asking them, and it was no. And it got to the point where they couldn't. They just had no money.
So
what
you're saying is Coventry City was a completely different entity to then Sisu. It's like
yeah.
Which is, I think,
and Dave Boddy. I mean, I know you've had him. I mean, the job he did, honestly, I saw it firsthand, and the job he did, knitting it all together. I mean, he was sort of orchestrating it really, and I think Mark Robbins missed him. I mean, talk about later on. Their relationship was unbelievable.
Yeah, so I think this is what fans don't realise. I think they just think that there's a Sisu and they generate money somehow and pay for things. But obviously, Coventry City, which was under is it Otium we were called then?
Otium.
Yeah. So that's a separate entity completely. Whatever cash they generated, well, that's how they basically ran the business. So there was there's no extra money. It's amazing. It's amazing we're still here.
Oh no, yeah.
And with the championship.
Honestly, I mean, Dave. I will say his name probably a few times over this show, but Dave Boddy each month he was juggling. To Peter the Paul and dragging cash all over the place and trying to make sure. I mean, the players always got paid. I think that's the main thing. The players got paid. But we did, I had my electricians down there, plumbers, and we just really. What I said to Mark Robbins was, I'll just take the interference away. That whereby they could just turn up and do and work really. I mean, when new players started, there was no one to help them. So that's why Vic, Gus Hamer, I would help them. Because I helped them where Leamington or Warwick, and Dennis Lawrence, Leo Ostergaard, take them around for a day. Show them where the good places, the bad places were. Work with the estate agents. I enjoyed it. I mean, it was. You
didn't take it to Shades, did you?
I think my wife's watching this, so I'll say no. I didn't know. No. But then COVID hit, and that really did mess them up really. And then I did the pre-season tour. I went to Scotland, so I funded that. Before they get into championship, and then when COVID hit, and they had some great stories. I mean, we had to have they couldn't eat inside the Brighton, so we had to get like a burger van outside. Yeah. So we put the chef outside. So we got a chef in there as well, and then there's all different things like kits and socks. I mean, Marshy's brilliant, the kit man. So they couldn't get. And the players couldn't give shirts away. The players, because obviously, at the end of the game, if players were giving shirts away, I was going, that's cost me, because But yeah, there's and then within COVID, we had to get 2 coaches. Because of COVID, they couldn't afford to pay for the coaches. So I'd help the coaches to make sure we could get to games.
This is extraordinary because I know, obviously, Juggy as well.
Yeah.
And I know he did a lot as well, didn't he?
Yeah, Juggy was there. Yeah, Juggy was brilliant behind the scenes. There's not just me. There's quite a few. I mean, David Shortland was behind the scenes.
Yeah.
The guy Kavanagh. There's a lots of local businessmen.
Yeah, Brian
Kavanagh who were behind the scenes. And Dave Boddy actually sort of did that. He got us all galvanised and were helping behind the scenes. To make sure the club could still function, really.
I'll tell you what's great about this, Richard, is the fact that, I knew bits and pieces because I was involved with Leamington Warwick, so obviously Juggy was running it then. Yeah. And we used to hear little bits, and we used to keep our mouths shut about it because, I don't think anybody really knew what was going on, how poor we were. And we all kept it quiet because it's like, we didn't want any more aggro. We just wanted everyone to get behind the team.
Yeah.
Which fast forward 7 years, we've got this situation now, haven't we? Where it feels like we're going full circle again, where there's a divide. Yeah. And I know you're close with Mark Robbins, your friends and that. It's not just somebody who helped out, but I know you're friends. And I know what the bloke's like. I don't think Mark Robbins would be very keen if our fan base would sort of be divided now. That's the last thing. That's the last thing he'd want, wouldn't it?
Yeah, no, definitely. He wants the best for Coventry City. That's what his aim was, and I think where he is upset is that he didn't get to finish the job. His dream was to take us to the Premier League. Now, his ultimate thing is to make sure that, and I think he did brilliantly to bring the city of Coventry together as well. And he would be upset if that then derailed and it went back to fragmented. That's what I would say.
Yeah. Do you think? It's a bit awkward question, though, isn't it? Do you think he may have run his course? Do you think he may have had enough? Do you think it got to a situation where it's untenable? I
was close to him. I would never ask him those things. I think anything happens, and he's been there 7 years. It's like anything, isn't it? You get tired and not want to fight. I don't think he was fighting really, but I don't think it's untenable is the word. But I think sometimes something needs to change. I think something needs to change, doesn't it? Something. You know what I mean? I can't remember the last time we had a performance for 90 minutes.
Well, this is something we've discussed.
I think you look at last season. We were losing to Leicester at home until the last 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And Man United, Wolves, we were losing 2-1 to the last 5 or 10 minutes. I think the Leeds game probably at home last year was immense, but I can't remember the last time we actually played and won the game. And that's not so.
Yeah, I mean, I think about League Two season, and I always say this. For me, out of all the years that Mark Robins been here, that was the most important because we had to get out of League Two, else we were in big trouble. And because we needed the financial benefit of hopefully getting bigger crowds. And I was, because I used to play hockey on Saturdays as well, so I couldn't go. I went to about half the games over the season, basically. And when Juggy rejigged the Leamington Warwick Supporters Club and basically started it up again because it sort of went dormant for about 20 years. Started up. I got a call from Mark Massey. I think you must know Mark. And said, "Come on board again. Let's do some away games." And I was kind of like, Yeovil, really? But I loved it. Absolutely. It was weird. It was like a siege mentality. I don't know what the other guy. What did you think, Vicky? It was a weird feeling, wasn't it, in League Two?
I love that season where they going to some old grounds, proper grounds with sort of proper fans and proper old fashioned, like back in the old days type football, really. And I really enjoyed that season. I think, like you said, it was imperative that we got out of that league that first time, because if we'd have done what Notts County did and obviously failed and then got relegated the next year, would we still have a football club now? And I'm not entirely sure that we would, because it felt very much. I heard bits about how bad they were, but from what Richard said, that's even worse than I realised. And the season before, when we were obviously getting relegated, I was thinking that season, how much longer have we got as a club? Because if we keep on spiralling like we are downwards, how much longer can this go on for? And so that's a really positive season, that League Two. Just the fact that, and that's what I'd always be grateful for Mark Robins for, really, turning the club around on its head, and people like Richard who've obviously contributed massively to that journey that set us back where we are now as a city and a football club to be proud of.
Yeah, I think you're right there, Vicky. Ken, what do you think when we're going to touch on Mark Robins now, I think, but when Mark arrived, I think we kind of all calmed down slightly, I think, from Thursday with everything that's going on. I mean, getting the point yesterday did help, I must admit. When he arrived, when he came back again, obviously we were into hiding to nothing. We had the Checker Trade final, and then we had the promotion from League Two. Were you confident he was a sort of guy who would turn it round?
I was, yeah. I was very confident. Yeah, I was delighted to have him back. I mean, I was a bit angry when he left. Left us for pastures new, if you like. But obviously, he got offered a better contract, better money, and any of us would have done that been in that same position, wouldn't we? If you get a better job offer, you got to move on, and it didn't work out for him. And he's come back to us. He didn't have to come back to us, did he? He could have said no. I don't want to come back. But he did, and he knew the club. He knew what was going on behind the scenes. So he put his head on the block, if you like, by coming back. It could have worked out disastrously for him, couldn't it? And then easily. So, but it never. And he done brilliantly. And I thought, yeah, those League Two days it was experience going to some of the grounds, and we'd never get to go to them in their grounds ever. So it was nice to tick them off the calendar, if you like. And
I never thought in my lifetime I'd ever see League Two football with Coventry.
No.
So I couldn't believe it. I was like, I felt a bit traumatized, to be honest, at the start of it all. Chris, do you think he was the right guy? And looking forward, do you think he still had it in him to keep making the push to get promoted?
When he arrived, when he came back, I should say, in 2017, I think it was, I think Coventry City and Mark Robins needed each other, and that's why it worked so well. Because if you remember when Robins come back, he'd had pretty disastrous spells with Huddersfield and Scunthorpe, and I think there was a third club in there. So there's every chance, had it not worked out with Cov in the way that it did, his managerial career might have petered out at that point. So it's almost like it was a match made in heaven, because they both needed each other. We needed someone to be able to come in and do what Robins did. And I genuinely believe he may have been the only person that could have done that. Yeah. I genuinely think he was the right man for the job at that time. And, he got a lot from Coventry as well, in terms it's resurrected his career, and he should be walking into a pretty big job now, either in the Premier League or the top of the Championship when one becomes available. I think he'll certainly be in the running. So
yeah, it's interesting, because going back, say, maybe 2 or 3 seasons, if it had gone, I don't think you'd have got all these fans of other clubs going, we'll have him. And that's what I'm seeing across social media. Clubs who've got higher than us at the table are saying, we'll have him. And you kind of think, so why are we letting him go? It's a weird one, isn't it? Do you think then, obviously with AD leaving and Dennis Lawrence, do you think it's like the Three Musketeers, and it kind of didn't help the situation this season?
Well, no, it didn't. It didn't help. Because they were his backbone, weren't they? I thought, and I thought they're bringing all this new regime, all these new coaches in and everything. I think obviously it's disrupted everything. The problem with Doug King, as we know, he wants to run the club his way, doesn't he? Yeah. And that's what he's doing. He's trying to bring his own men in. That's the impression I get. And regardless of what the current manager thinks, he will do it his way, whatever. And,
is that how you see it, Richard? Do you think?
Yeah. I think he, Doug King, has got his own way of wanting to do it, and fair play to him in one sense. I think it's a big gamble if it comes off, but I think we do need a change. I think to get to the next level, Premiership. And what Chris was saying there, I think you're perfectly right. I think at that time, Mark Robins and Coventry in League Two were perfect. We needed someone who would have full control. Do you know what I mean? So would get involved with everything, and we needed that because we didn't have the resources. It's a different animal now. And time will tell.
I just one last thing on harping on about the past. We started the fans meetings, players meetings with the supporters and that. And I think it was the second one that Mark Robins came to, and it was the Covington Social Club. And Shippers was there, and there was a second player, I can't remember what it was. And it got to 9 o'clock. The 2 players came on first, and then Shippers and whoever else it was still there. And he told them both to go home. I've never seen anything like it. And they looked a bit taken aback. And he goes, no, you need to go home because I might have to answer questions about you. And they went home. And I said to them in mate I was with, I says, we're getting out of this division. I remember saying it. I says, I like this. He ruled it, didn't he? He ruled it. He ruled them, and they respected him. There was, what I mean, there was a great respect there for him. I think because of where he'd been, Man United. He could get his medals out on the table, blah 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 blah. So I think there was great respect, and I think all those players
hadn't been anywhere else. Do you know what I mean? So we were their first club that they could actually achieve something. And I think he had great coaches. I think AD and him, AD on the training ground. I think every single player that he came across, he helped and developed, and people saw that. And Mark had sort of full control, conducting it all really.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Ken was there actually in Marbella, remember?
Yeah. We were. I mean, Miles was there as well. Yeah.
He wasn't very happy about that actually. I'll come on to
wasn't
that.
He?
No, but that was in really, wasn't it? I think Miles had his flag outside the bedroom window.
Yeah.
But we went. It was when the World Cup England played in the night, and we went and watched it. But as soon as the game finished, he got all the players out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're back to the hotel there. So
we just happened to be Richard. We just happened to be in the same hotel.
Oh no!
Yeah, and then the training ground was when you were videoing. No, the training ground when you were videoing when Fads came out. I was actually inside the training ground, and then I got a video of you and Miles outside videoing Fads when he came on the crutches. Remember?
That's right. Yeah, because the guy on the gate wouldn't let him in.
I think he'd have lynched Miles then. That's quite funny. It's quite funny.
I know. Yeah.
And then I think Miles did
what's happened to Fads? Bloody hell.
And then Fads did a thing, a players' evening, and Miles was there, and I I told Fads who he was, Miles, and then I think he. Went for him a bit. It's quite
he brought it up to him. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I said to him.
I thought you were going to say Mark was upset because of an offensive pair of Speedos that Ken was wearing.
Yeah. We know what Miles was like, isn't it? It was funny. It was funny to watch him at distance. Miles, you know what I mean? He's like a big kid in a sweet shop. You know what I mean? It was brilliant. You know what I mean? And he's chasing them around like with his mic. You know what I mean? Yeah. And Mark Robbins is saying, keep out of the way. And Miles is like chasing them round. In all fairness, though, the players have always wanted to talk to the fans. You know what I mean? They've never, ever, even then, the players were keen to talk to
we've got
one. Yeah, and what I will say, we've seen them all around the hotel and everything. They were brilliant. They always have a photo with us. They were fantastic. They didn't say no, go away or anything like that. They were really, really good to us. Yeah.
Well, a week on Tuesday, we've got a players' evening at the Racing Club Warwick, and we've got Ben Sheaf and Jamie Allen. What a time to have Ben Sheaf come as a guest. That'd be interesting, especially if we've got a new manager in place. Yeah. And that's another thing. I mean, since Thursday, I'm going to talk about just the dismissal, because personally, after 7.5 years and everything he's done as a man for this football club, I still maintain, and I believe he should have had a proper press conference where Doug King could have fronted it on Thursday, announced it. Really sorry, we're parting ways with Mark Robbins. Say all the nice stuff, and then he could have left it there and said, "We'll be back. We'll talk again in 2 or 3 days and tell you what's going to happen." To get the announcement, I mean, I had an inkling. I was getting messages saying about an hour or so before that it was happening, and I thought, "Oh, for God's sake!" And you just want to tell the world, but you can't. And it was so frustrating. And I'm kind of thinking, "Oh, it's just a wind up," because we do these messages between ourselves all the time, just to play games basically. And I thought, no, because it just felt like it was going to happen this season, regardless of where we were in the table. I thought, and I just thought it's a crap way of doing it on the internet. Just announcing it as if he's only been at the club 6 months or something. And I had a message from somebody saying, "Oh yeah, but look at Ten Hag. That's how they did it." I said, "Yeah, but he's been there 2 years. He hasn't built a club where they're about to completely disappear. This is totally no Man United fan cares about Ten Hag. Nobody. Whereas at Coventry City, I would say 95% of the people, this is the last thing they wanted was Mark Robbins to be sacked. I mean, most of us wouldn't have minded if it had walked away, resigned and says, "I've had enough, actually. I think I've done as much as I can." I think we'd have given a massive round of applause. Thank you very much. Let's hope the next bloke does something. But I think this is what hurt me more, I think.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, you had when Gus left, he did a video, didn't he? I think Vic did one.
Yeah. I thought the whole handling was a disgrace, really. The way the club handled the whole situation when Mark left was a disgrace and a lack of respect, I think, for the guy who's done so much for us.
That's it, Ken. It shows no respect at all for what he's achieved at this club and where we are because of him. That's the problem. And I think that's probably what's caused a lot of anger on social media, because if it had been handled better, people could have processed that better, but they didn't even have the opportunity to do that because there wasn't the proper handling of the situation.
I think the handling of the situation has been atrocious. From Doug King's got it massively wrong. But I do think the sacking was too early. I think he should have been given to at least January to try and turn it around. I think he'd at least earned the opportunity to try and turn it around. And I think, regardless of how Doug King had done it, there was going to be a backlash because he's done it too soon. And a lot of fans didn't want Mark Robins gone. I understand it, because when you look at the stats, when you take the emotion and the sentiment out of it, and you look at the stats and the figures, and our form since April has not been good. It's been awful. So I understood where the pressure was coming from, but my overriding feeling is it was still too soon. He should have been given longer to turn it around.
I'm
going to read some comments out now, because I've just realised we've got absolutely loads.
Yeah, they're all piling up.
They're piling up. So I'll try and read as many as I can. So Paul Cutterford, let's hope DK is not let off the hook with the questions on Monday. And will the panel, if invited, be asking the hard questions?
Well, hopefully.
Well, I've not been asked what question I want to ask yet, so that's interesting. So I might have to put it on a slip of paper, anonymous. So this is from Aaron Thomas. Hi, all new to your channel. Looking forward to tonight's chat. Thank you for joining us, Aaron. GLB Boxing. Just hope we don't get Frank the Plank, whose win rate is win rate. Mark Robins had lots more games. It's virtually the same as Mark Robins, actually. It's not as bad as people think. Neil Jakes, evening, gentlemen, and Vicky, obviously. Not sure what you talk about tonight. Not much has happened this week.
Been a quiet week, yeah.
Yeah, Mad Frankie says, yes, Vicky in the house.
Go back on the holes.
Yeah. David Granigan, evening, everyone. I hope everyone is well. We have a massive few weeks ahead. And, I'll just work through these. So Dale Crossland, even all, here to issue my apology. You weren't talking nonsense after all. It's interesting because we're on the show. We had said for weeks that something is going on behind the scenes because it just didn't feel right. And the fact that Doug hasn't been on socials like he had done in the past, but you notice that it's a bit like when you got an old friend on Facebook and they disappear for a few weeks. You're thinking this is odd. They normally post every 5 minutes. Something's happened here, and that's what it felt like to me. I just thought there was something going on. We'll talk about the second half. Doug in the second. Doug Bolam, great comeback. Never expected that at half time, to be honest. I'm going through. I will skip through some of them because I can't. Obviously, there's so many messages. Facebook user. I don't know if this could be. I reckon this is
Wayne Littlewood.
It's got to be Wayne. It's got to be Wayne. Yesterday was a tale of two halves. The first half was really bad. The second half, some fight and determination. It lacked a lot of quality, but it was good to see us not give up.
That definitely sounds like Wayne.
Yeah, that's half quarter full. Mark Carr, I was expecting the worst yesterday. Going 2 down in the first half seemed to confirm that, but you can't argue with the fight in the side. And Facebook user again. I get people upset about MR, but can we stop talking like the guy has died? Managers come and go, and maybe, just maybe, we needed a fresh face in charge. I'm not agreeing with all this nonsense about storming the building and all sorts. It's just, come on, grow up. Mark Cunningham, I don't know how Sunderland are top of the league. I thought they were crap. We should have beaten them. Well, that's what me and Chris were saying. We were watching that going, what are they doing? Top of the league. It's just bizarre. It is bizarre. And
I was surprised, yeah.
Well, we're probably not as bad as we think we are. It's just that sometimes you look at the games, the penalty decision that Haji Wright didn't get against Preston. Sorry, the goal that was disallowed against Preston. I mean, even yesterday he was pulled back in the second half.
Should have been that's a penalty all day long.
Penalty,
And Watford away we had 2 or 3 chances.
Yeah.
That was...
Sheffield Wednesday at home when that bloke should have got sent off and then scored the winner. There's been little things all through the season, hasn't there? Like fine margins. I don't think there's a single team that I've seen that have played consistently well this season. If we get ourselves going, we're a match for anybody, I think. So
the only game we've been disappointed in games, but the only game where we had no chance was Leeds away, where we just they completely wiped us, didn't they? We were never in it.
And they're probably the best team in the league, aren't they? To be fair, so like that's.
I also think because the last season where we beat them and it was 1-1 up there, we were on a hiding to nothing. I think they were never going to let that happen again, were they?
No.
Was expecting a thrashing, said Matt B, going 2-0 down in the first half against the league leaders. They definitely put in a performance in the second half for Mark Robbins. Collins should play the next game. I want to say about that, actually. It's interesting because when we lose, did feel like it was all on the players at times, but when we win, it was the credit was probably too much on Mark Robbins sometimes. I mean, and for people to say that was like a Mark Robbins performance, well, he wasn't there yesterday. All I know is something happened at half time. According to Reece Carr, who I thought spoke really well actually after the game, and he's probably upbeat because we got something out of it. It was onto hiding to nothing really, but we obviously tweaked something. Sakamoto coming on made a difference, I thought, as well. You know,
at the right time as well. You know,
yes,
at the right time was perfect.
And I feel, you know, that these players are playing for themselves. It's not just about playing for the manager. Mark is gone. You know, they've got to make sure they've got a contract, you know, or get selected.
They've also got to impress the next manager. I mean,
exactly.
Whoever comes in, he'll be watching that game yesterday. That'll be his game. So people like Brad Collins, Liam Kitchen, them all really. You know what I mean? Yeah. That 11 yesterday have put them in prime position.
I thought, I don't know what you guys think. I'll start with you, Vicky. I thought Collins looked like the Collins we signed.
Yeah.
When he first. I thought it was excellent yesterday.
I think, unfortunately, with goalkeepers, they can have a couple of mistakes, can't they? And then it hits their confidence, and then they can go a bit awry. And I felt that's what happened to him at the end of last season. And so actually, maybe he benefited from the fact he got dropped completely out of the picture, and it allowed him to sort of focus his mind, I guess. And then he got his opportunity, and he came back. And then, like you said, I think he was the goalkeeper that we thought he probably was originally.
Yeah, I mean, look at that. Simon Moore, that's a great example. He kept three clean sheets, I think, for Sunderland before yesterday's game. And he's been playing brilliant, apparently. And that's what he was like when he first came to us, if you remember. Simon Moore, he was great, wasn't he? But they make one mistake, everybody notices it.
Gets on the back,
confidence, isn't it?
But our problem, and I don't know what all you guys think, is it's the same defence as last season. We still conceding 2 goals. We're averaging 1.5 goals.
I think we need, definitely a right back to help Milan.
Yeah.
I mean, yesterday you need like a Jake Bidwell or a right back. No, I think Milan's brilliant going forward, but I think at the moment he needs help, and you just need somebody in that right hand side really, just to help us. I think there's a few holes within where we need play.
Well, we are. Well, it showed with the squad because we had two. I got a message saying, "Who's Rachel?"
That's Dan Rachel, the youth keeper. Dan Rachel. That's his surname.
I thought they picked for somebody from Cov Ladies to play or something. It's like they just picked random Rachel. You know, what a state of affairs that is. You know, we're already dipping. It's not even. It's just November, isn't it? We're already dipping in. We're running out of players so quickly. Yet we were told we got a great squad. We haven't got enough depth, have we? Really? Come January, we do need to bring people in. Definitely, I can't see how we cannot bring somebody in. I mean, that second half. Then let's talk about that because that was a decent second half, Chris, wasn't it? We were like happy, weren't we?
Yeah. I know. Messaging all game pretty much, but second half we controlled the game. We really took it to them, and I'll be honest, at 2-0 down, you do fear the worst, and it just completely took me by surprise. I wasn't expecting the performance to be that good. Obviously, a bit worried about the injury to Hadji Wright and how bad that actually is. Because I know he takes a lot of flack as well, bless him, but he will be a big miss. if he's out for any extended period of time.
So, I think he's going just down the middle, Chris. He does. And he's a bit unconventional. His finishing is weird. He never seems to hit the ball properly, but it goes in the net. And he did that yesterday, I thought. And when you look at the replay, you're thinking, how's that gone in? Because how did it feel in the ground, Richard? Could you feel the start of the second half?
We said the third goal was going to be vital. They're 2-0 up. Whoever scored, if they went 3-0, it would have been game over. But if we got that goal, you always felt. Had you right, we all can see. But he scores goals, and you can't buy that literally. I just think, what Chris just said there, he'll be a big miss if he's out for 5 or 6 weeks. He just scores goals. You can't knock him for that. You can knock him for other things, but he scores goals. So I was a bit disappointed with Asante. I didn't think, but he runs. I think that's probably a bit unkind. I think he runs a lot off the ball. I think he probably makes a lot of space. Yeah. But Bissett coming on, he's nearly scored. He's like a young Jamie Vardy, isn't he? He's just. But I just thought Talk did well, controlled the ball. I think Latty, like you say, really did. But I think he helped the defence. I know we conceded 2 goals, but certainly in the second half, he just seemed to screen the back 2 or 3. So, no.
Yeah, we still made some terrible passes, though, didn't we, out from the back?
Collins also.
Yeah.
That save he come when Talk made that back pass. Collins, he came brilliant there. He timed it well, didn't he? Good save that was, because that would have been vital.
Yeah, that's our problem. It is a lack of concentration at times. They just switch off. That's like an easy pass back, isn't it? It's a bit like Rodoni the other night.
Yeah.
I can't see. It makes you wonder what happens to footballers, because 20,000 people can see there's a forward about to set the ball if you pass it back, and he's 10 yards away and you can't see him for some reason. So you just wonder whether not somebody should be talking to him. But it happens, doesn't it? It just does happen. But so we get the. Of course, he makes up for it then, because he kind of was involved with the goal that we Wright's goal, and then he scores with a header. The lovely cross from Sakamoto. He can use both feet. He's good on that left side. He looked good, I thought, didn't he, Vicky?
Yeah, and that was a cracking cross, wasn't it? And I think sometimes we've been guilty in previous games of having a chance to whip a ball in like that and just then messing around and losing it. And so it's just nice to see a player that wants to get the ball in the box for people to attack. That's the way you're going to get goals. If you're messing around on the side, nothing's going to come of it, is it? And so that was a lovely ball. And
I feel really sorry for Sims, because we're putting loads of crosses into boxes now, which is like his. That's it.
We never do it when he's playing, do we? When he's playing, we never do it.
When Sim plays, no crosses in the box.
So, it was a good header by Rodoni, and I felt really pleased for him, because he took a bit of stick, didn't he, in the last couple of games, and he's, to be honest, he's been moved all over the pitch. I need to find a position for him and stick him in the right place, what suits his game. And I think there was probably too much of that in these last 14, 15 matches where, yesterday was a necessity because we've got so many injured, but before that, it wasn't. We had a decent squad with decent players on the bench, and we still move players around into positions they probably shouldn't be playing in. There's a couple of times, I spoke to, me and Vicky had a little chat and talked about Ellis Sims, where I felt he did really well against Watford, scored a goal, had a good game, then gets left out against Spurs, then gets left out in the league game. And you're thinking, that's not good with a guy who isn't really a confidence player. And that Tottenham game was a big game for any player at Coventry City to play in, because the cameras are there, they're playing against some stars, you got a chance to prove yourself. And I think we dropped one there basically with Ellis. He should have started him. And I if I was a footballer and I'd played well the game before, and you're playing Tottenham 3 days time, I'd be wanting to play. And if you're not playing, that I don't care who you are, rotation systems and all that's going to hit you, and you'll be thinking, oh great, you're playing some young lad instead of me. So I can understand. I know they do the rotation thing, but for me, that doesn't wash sometimes. I think you need to play your 2 best strikers. Whatever people think of them, they scored nearly 20 goals each last season. They're the only ones who can find the back of the net on a regular basis. So you need to play it. But now we've got both injured now. She's brilliant, isn't it? So
Sims was on the bench yesterday, so that would indicate he's probably.
He's all right. I think he'd be all right for
He's on his way back, yeah.
Yes.
So we've got some.
Well, we might need him with Hadji going to be out for a while. We'll probably need him back.
Definitely.
Well, I said before that I'd quite like to see how Sims and Bissett would work together, and so that might be an opportunity if White is unfortunately injured significantly.
So there's Day Sports Photo says a Facebook post, I won't name him, called the fans singing the Robin song morons. Surely the song was a thank you mark rather than F you Doug, which is true, isn't it? I mean, you got to think we didn't have the chance to say ta-ra, basically. It's. But I think Mark Robbins knows. He knows. JH, fair play to you, Rich. And I'll get these out of the way, Richard. Don't want to embarrass you too much. Richard shouldn't have to buy a pint anywhere in the city. What a top man. Well, somebody needs to buy him a pint. He spent so much money in the city, he's got none left. Mick Davenport sounds like Richard was our saviour.
No more, Clyde. That's really
No, I'm going to read them out, mate. I love this. I want to embarrass you. Stephen Suddens. This is a great point Richard makes. Mark Robbins brought the city of Coventry together. What have you done, Doug? Facebook uses this definitely way. And Claudio, you only played hockey back then as you didn't get invited to the box on a Saturday. I went out yesterday. It was a bit chilly yesterday, wasn't it? And I said to Caroline, so I'm glad I'm not playing in this. This is blinking awful. I can't believe I used to play. It's so cold.
Should have been in Sunderland. Should have been in Sunderland, even colder. You have to walk about 5 floors to get to the
to the way end, yeah.
This is from James Hollyoak. Richard pays the bill, stop the club from going out of business, revamp the training ground, etc., etc. Yeah.
Doug has. Can I just say, Doug has done the training ground. What he's done now, honestly, is brilliant. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's an elite training ground now. So I think that's one thing he's done brilliantly. Well, I think he's done a few things, but certainly
there was a rumour they were going to buy the old Skybridge connection back, weren't they?
Yeah.
They're definitely looking at the polo place at Southern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They looked at that years ago. That would have been brilliant actually, but that didn't materialise.
Yeah.
But I think.
So Facebook user, this is Wayne. Thank you, Richard. I'll read a couple more out. Thank you, Richard, for all the work you've done for the club. And Jordan Williams, I think this is nicely put. On behalf of us all, thank you, Richard. What a proper bloke to do that. You should never buy a pint again. There you go. Lee Lawton. Really good points. I also, 25 years ago, I used to play football with Claudio.
Do you remember Lee, Claudio?
Yeah, I do. Lee, tell him how many goals I used to score.
Don't tell him about the misses.
Left back. He had a nickname. I'm trying to think of his nickname. Lee, what was your nickname? Put it up on the screen. I can't remember. We had a nickname for him. I think it's. I think we can put it up. So, right, 2-2 draw. Brilliant. We've got the point. It's almost like we had to get that game out of the way. And this is from Luke's Bud. We all love Mark Robbins, but we need to find a new manager now. I wouldn't be against Lampard coming in. He's done pretty well in his career. Playoff final. So this is the question now, isn't it? Where are we going to look? What do we want? For all we know, it could have already been decided. And I can't believe it's going to be too long before we have somebody. They're going to have to get somebody in quick. I think we can't afford to let this drift, I don't think. What do you reckon, Richard?
Yeah, no, you've got to get. I think the players are back in. I think they've got a couple of days off this week, but I think they're back in Wednesday. So you would think that someone's got to be in situ by Wednesday, because you've only got really. I think they're probably off next weekend. But if you've got 2 days training this week, next week you probably only got 6 days. Between, I know it sounds silly, between now and Sheffield United. So, you've got to really get somebody in
So when the players go, the ones who got on international duty, when do they just leave straight away? Do they? Is that what normally?
They've gone like today or last night or today. Yeah.
Because I had a message from somebody saying, "Oh, apparently Lee Carr is in rugby." And I said, "What's he doing there? He should be at St George's, shouldn't he?" He's got an England team to sort out.
Yeah.
So, so Vicky, do you fancy Frank Lampard if it is Frank Lampard?
No, not for me. Not for me. I just don't. It doesn't feel the right fit for the club for me. I feel like it's going sort of like big media, big name type thing, and it's not really us. I feel like unless they're going to really change his philosophy, the way he operates isn't going to work, because when he did well at Derby, he relied on a lot of like quality loans from Chelsea. Well, one of the things we've all bemoaned about is that Doug King didn't let Robbins have any loan players. Well, unless he's going to suddenly change that philosophy and let Lampard bring some loans in and let spend some money in January, then I don't think he's a player. I don't think he's the manager to work with the players that we've got at the minute, personally. I'd rather see us go down the route of another sort of, I suppose, two routes. The first of which I can't think of anybody that's available that could do it, but somebody that's already got some championship teams promoted and could come in with that experience. But that all the people like that are really already employed at clubs that I don't think they need to come here. Or alternatively, a young up-and-coming manager, someone a bit like when Sheffield Wednesday brought in Danny Roll, someone that you can sort of say might have promise and can develop a club. So that would be the sort of manager I would want, someone that's going to be here for a while and will build a game. But who that actually is who's actually recruitable at the moment is a good question.
What about you, Ken? Apparently Mourinho wants a challenge.
Do you imagine Mourinho and Doug King getting on? I can't see that happening. Jesus, imagine that.
So what do you think? Do you think Frank Lampard? I mean,
Frank Lampard. I mean, would that be a long term? We want somebody long term, don't we? We want to. Frank Lampard. He hasn't really proved himself yet, has he? He's had a couple of clubs. He's done reasonably well with Derby, I suppose. He went back to Chelsea, had a bit of a nightmare. I suppose, it's different ball game there, isn't it? Difficult to say. It wouldn't be my choice, Lampard, no, because I think he'd probably just use it as a stepping stone. If he did do quite well, would he be up after a couple of seasons? Would he be gone again? You know what I mean? And just use the club as a stepping stone. He'd probably do that, wouldn't he? I mean, he wouldn't be. Would he sign it for a long-term deal? Is he here for the long run? It's difficult. There's not
Frank Lampard. It's not going to cost the club anything, is it?
No,
you're not having to pay club
that's true.
compensation to somebody.
Apart from wages, but I just feel Lampard would want to bring in his own men. And Doug's got his own men, as we know there already.
I went on CWR last night, and Oggy did ask me that question, and he said, "What would you want?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I've got to have somebody come in, and I said a senior head coach that's willing to work with everybody who's there at the minute, because the club will not. They've only just employed these people. They're not going to get rid of everybody, are they? It's going to cost them a fortune."
Well, exactly. That's the problem you're going to have, because I just feel Lampard, if it is Lampard, by all indications, from what I'm hearing, it could well be, but he'd have to agree, obviously, to work with the backroom staff we have already employed.
Yeah, because Vicky said somebody like senior, but a lot of these guys have their people, haven't they? They just come with their sidekicks and everybody else. So what do you think, Chris?
I think it will be Frank Lampard. When the betting drops as much as it has done on him, it usually means something's happened. It wouldn't be my first choice, if I'm honest, but we've got to get behind him now. We've got to support him. I mean, we've seen comments like Fat Frank or ripping into him before he's even been announced, and that's not helpful. That's not going to be helpful to the club going forward. Okay, a decision's been made, one that's not popular, one that we don't like, but you've got to get behind the new man now. We've got to move forward. But for me personally, I would have liked the Sheffield Wednesday to try and get him out of his contract and get him in. Danny Roll, he would have been one I would have been very interested in. Or the West Brom manager, he could have been a good signing. Or John Eustace from Blackburn would probably.
John Eustace is a good shout, but would he leave Blackburn to come back here? I don't know.
Well, you'd hope his affiliation with the club that he had from his playing days might have drove the decision.
Yeah.
I'll ask Richard. So, Richard, who's the new manager?
I don't know. Listen, I don't think we'll have a long-term manager again. I think we'll have be 2 years. I just don't see that happening again. So
I just want this down. Richard said it'll only be a 2-year contract.
I think it needs to be a big character to be able to work with Doug King. I think the kind of character he is, and I think he does some great stuff. He needs a big character. But if it's Frank Lampard, we've had Terry Butcher ex-England, we've had Peter Reid ex-England. So third time lucky, surely we'll be all right. We'll be all right. Yeah. But I also think of Frank Lampard. I think he can turn around, and the top players we've got now do they need managing differently? And again, Frank Lampard played 100 times for England. He's won the Champions League, and I think he can probably recruit the players that we need to get to that Premier League. I would prefer to go to the Premier League with Frank Lampard and Mark Robin, because if we got promoted, I thought I don't like this, because if we get relegated, he'll go. So I'm a bit different now. I'm thinking, great, let's get promoted.
Well, you've got the Edwards situation.
Yeah, exactly. I think to see Mark Robin struggle like that would have been horrible. So part of me now, when we got to Luton, I was thinking I don't want to go up because we're going to have a year and then it's all going to end. Whereas now you're thinking, right, come on, build affiliation. And I think you need someone that can manage. We've got a different type of player now. We've got a different type of player that probably needs managing differently.
So I looked at Rob Edwards in that interview, and is that a face of a broken man?
Yeah.
Oh, you just wanted to give him a hug, didn't you?
Yeah.
I mean, I know there's a lot of women who want to give Rob Edwards a probably a lot of blokes as well. And I must admit, I'm not, but I'd give him a hug. He's a good bloke, isn't he? Anyway, but I just felt so sorry for him. I thought, God, because he's worked so hard at that club. Yeah. And I think that's what you're saying about what could have happened if we get promoted with Mark Robbins, and it could be a similar scenario. Yeah. And you can't. The guy probably just wants to walk away because it's devastating. I think for some of these, I think as fans we think, oh, they don't really care. Some of these people, some managers and players really, really do care. Yeah. And that's a guy who cares at the minute, and he looks broken.
It's strange that you've brought up Rob Edwards, because I actually think Luton might be one of the clubs where I think Robbins may end up.
Yeah,
because I think Edwards is on the verge of going. I think Robbins could very well be the next Luton Town manager.
Well, there won't be any shortage of takers for Robbins, will there? Certainly in the Championship.
But if I was Mark Robbins, I wouldn't be looking at Luton. I'd be looking at somebody who's relatively comfortable at the minute, because Luton are in trouble. They're free falling at the minute. It's not looking good there, and that'll be some turnaround to keep them up, I think, at the minute.
We might even see Mark Robbins in the opposite dugout before the end of the season. You never know, from another club. Yeah. That'd be strange, wouldn't it?
I mean, the thought of Frank Lampard as manager, well, I'll be happy with that. I'm not going to, I just think, like Richard says, you have got the chance of getting in players who are going to think, oh, it's Frank Lampard. And he's more current, isn't he? That sounds awful, doesn't it? It sounds like Mark Robbins like an old bloke or something, but it's surprising how, nobody, some of the lads who played for us never saw Mark Robbins play, basically, is what I'm saying.
But Frank Lampard's also managed the Premiership, and if that's our goal, to get into the Premiership, which it is, then surely you've got to look at somebody that's managed in that, and not, part of my plus criteria.
And plus Christine in the box. That'd be quite nice, wouldn't it? His lovely wife.
I bet you give her a hug, wouldn't you, Claudia?
Doug will have no problem selling the corporate out then, will he? It'd be absolutely jam-packed, wouldn't it? They'll all be trying to get on one. I know you don't do the one show anymore, but you know what I mean. This is. I'm going to read some more comments. It says here, Leo at CCFC, Doug King should not have invested in our club, and if anybody is annoyed with him, we should not wear. Oh, sorry, I can't wear with him. We should not
buy anything with King of Shaves.
King of Shaves. You know about boycotting King of Shaves.
Sorry about that. I was just having a moment there. It's all right. I wasn't having a stroke or anything. Facebook use to me, that's not Frank Lampard though. To get to the next level, and he's James Holloway says to Leo, where do you think we would be now if Doug didn't buy the club? We need to support the club. If you're a fan, you would regardless. If you hate the owner, Facebook use. I thought we were going to lose 4-0 yesterday. Right, here we go then. We may possibly have needed a change, but we also need proper investment to push for the Premier League. DK clearly didn't back Robbins fully in the summer, as he was always going to give him the bullet, as he's not his man. Can't get promoted on a shoestring. What I will say, I was talking to somebody earlier, and this 3 in 5 years and 2 years around the playoffs, at no point did Doug King say he was going to do that with Mark Robbins in his interviews. He never said... I thought that forum I went to last year when it was at the CWR at the studios, he said then, I want this, I want that. He didn't say we.
He also said if we were in the relegation, he would also have questions about the current management. If I don't want to be hanging around the relegation, and I'll hold this team accountable.
Yeah. So he basically he said, I don't want to be messing around near the bottom of the table.
That's right, yeah. But so he's got to be a guy in saying what he wants, which is I think where the disappointment is why he's not come out on Thursday with Mark to say thank you very much. He's not being shy, saying this is what I want, this is my dream, and you come with me. And
I think that's what's upset a lot of people, Rich, isn't it? The way it's been handled.
Yeah. But because we've got part of it is Doug King's history with Mark Robbins started 2 years ago. Ours started 7 years ago. So
he's got no affiliation with it.
He's got no affiliation, and he is a businessman. And he was what we needed. Let me tell you. He was what we needed at the time.
So we made this point way back, probably a year ago. We were saying that he's not his man, so he hasn't got that. We've got for him. It's different, totally different. He doesn't owe him anything, does he? Basically,
no.
He hasn't been in for that journey, has he? He's not been in for the journey that we've all been through together. Yeah.
My only frustration would be that when he walked in with Gus and the Vic money, he walked in with that Mark and AD and Dennis and the players really had got those two players to that level. So I think if he'd have walked in and then not to that and then done the funding. I think that's partly frustration. He's walked into that money.
Yeah, it's almost he couldn't have got luckier, could you really?
No. But then
I could have took over the club, and you've sold 2 players. I go, there you go. There's 45 million you can have.
Yeah, but I think the day-to-day running is very expensive. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I think the wage bill. We'll wait for this year's accounts to come out, but I think the wage bill's probably gone. Through the roof, the monthly day-to-day costs, certainly, which he's on the hook for, and they're static costs. They're static costs. So that's on the 1st of January. He's got to write that out. It's okay paying out for the transfers, but he's got to pay their wage bill. So that's his commitment.
I know Fraser's obviously owned the stadium and that. Do you think it is a pipe dream that we'll ever get the stadium? Or is there more chance you think of Fraser's actually trying to take over the club?
I don't know. Is Mike Ashley waiting in the wings to make a move?
It would be nice. It would be nice. It would be nice to own your own ground again, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
We wouldn't have that problem.
Yeah, but then you've got you mentioned before in previous shows, the 5-year, 10-year lease thing, which is coming up next year. So there's lots. I think there's different scenarios about. He needs to have a 10-year agreement in place by next year. And then your problem is, Ashley can see how successful we'd be with season tickets, he then bumps up the cost. So that's going to be interesting on that, how that plays out.
Talking about the attendances, do you think that may have played into it as well? The fact that we've lost about 10 out of the last 19 games at home, where we've got 27,000. That's the main income, isn't it? And if you're the owner, you're thinking, well, we've got the stadium full now. We can't keep losing games. Because it don't matter that we go away from home. I've said it before, 1,500, 3,000. That's not bringing income to Coventry City Football Club, is it? No. But 27,000 people is.
But on the away game, does he have to commit? Do we have to sort of say we're going to take the 3,000 tickets?
I think they offer this first allocation, don't they? We want any more, don't we? I don't know how it works. But we don't, we're not going to make money from that, are we?
No. It's still the point.
And the last thing he wants, 2014, we spoke about it last week, there was 8,800 for the Peterborough game at the same time of the year. 10 years on, we've got 20,000 more fans back. And obviously that's down to the bloke who's just sacked as well. And the teams that got promoted and all the rest of it that came with it. This is Doug Bolam, he says. You're all missing the point. The fact is, Miles doesn't know the devastating news. In fact, we've not even heard from Miles. Who's going to tell him? He's probably in some sort of, he's on the smokes and he's all over the shop. I don't envy the person who has to tell him Ken was in prison for the night.
Well, that was last week, yeah. That was a very good experience.
We never thought we'd be talking about this, did we? This time last week. It's weird, isn't it?
No.
When was Ken in prison for the night? When I was on holiday?
Yeah, I was in the war zone, Vic, at the fireworks display. And then all they could hear was the fireworks.
Yeah.
It all happened.
Finn, see, many managers come and go, but I feel we have shot ourselves in the foot getting rid of AD, and how we've blown our heads off. Ditching Robbins is one of the best at this level. It has to be said, this is the best Mark Robbins has ever been at this level, because he had struggled before with some other clubs. So you're right, Christian, you said about the right fit. It happens sometimes, doesn't it?
Yeah.
This is from, I don't know who Facebook user is.
Wayne Elwood.
It must be Wayne. Get real. When he first came here, he said how happy he was that he had a brand new office at the training ground. Since when do owners have an office there? From day one, King planned to get Lawrence, Ady and Mark out of this club. Could he control everything? That's why he's looking for a head coach, not a manager. He'll be in charge of everyone and everything.
He wants to sit on the bench. During the matches.
Yeah. Finn, of all managers listed, MR tops a lot, in my opinion. We should have stuck to the 5-year plan. He would have done it while keeping us secure. But like I just said, I don't think it's Doug's 5-year plan. I'm not sure Mark was ever going to be involved in all of it. Well, when I saw it on Facebook, I thought it was fake news at first. Mick reckons it's weeping his beer. I bet his missus taking his phone off him.
Oh, Miles, yeah, guaranteed.
This is a point, isn't it? What's happened to the Robbins is our King banner in the stadium.
Well, I seen the banner was at Sunderland, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The banner up.
Yeah.
Back in Robbins, which was good.
Nino of Cov. Apparently Lampard is getting interviewed for a Cov job in the morning. People are saying it's at the Coombe now. Oh.
Well, he's already booked in for the night, is he?
He's gone for a bit of a bottomless brunch before he goes for his
You never know, Claudio. He might be revealed at tomorrow night's.
This is what I said to him. I said it's going to be a strange meeting if you sat next to Doug King, the new manager, tomorrow night.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, hands together for our new manager, and he walks in.
Yeah, that's going to be a weird one.
Someone storms through the glass windows in Barraclavas and
not
the SAS.
Yeah. The media's there tomorrow, isn't they, as well?
Yeah.
You'll get an idea if the manager's going to be announced by what type of media is there. If it's just all local media. But if Sky and Talk Sport and all that end up showing up, something big's probably in the offing.
Yeah, be interesting. For all he has done, he has been treated terribly. It's a disgrace, says Finn. Hope Ashley takes 100% over now. We would be more secure too. We may have the ground problems now if the gates go down. Do we think Lampard will bring in his own backroom team? I personally think he won't, purely because we've only just signed a load of coaches. I don't know what you guys think.
Well, I don't think he'll be allowed to be honest. I think they'll offer the job and say, look, it's you we're employing. I'm not employing anybody else. I only want you. And we've got the backroom staff in place. You have to work with them. Take it or leave it.
It's going to limit the options, isn't it? Because not everyone's going to be prepared to accept that, are they?
Yeah.
That will affect who will come.
That's why you think Lampard. You think Lampard, you're right. If he comes, he's had Jody Morris or Ashley Cole, hasn't he? And I think if he chucks away these 4 coaches, he's saying that's failed and that's our sort of DNA gone out of the way. So he might reduce them down. He might reduce it down to 2 coaches. I don't know. But
was Rossignol at Derby with?
Yeah.
He lives in the same road as Mark Robins.
Who does?
I've had him. I like him.
Oh, he'll probably end up having his car then. Doug will phone Mark, can you give your car to Leroy? He's going to use it from now on. We'll have to change the number plate as well.
Yeah, the sat nav the same. The sat nav the
same. Press right and press CVS. This is. I realise now. I think Facebook Newser is anybody. I think what's happened is it's just not showing who it is. Because some of these are far too intelligent for Wayne. Hi all, you don't interfere with positive momentum. Having Dennis and AD leave, you knew this was the beginning of the end of an amazing managerial team and connection to the community of Coventry and the club SBA in LA. See, he's definitely not in LA.
No, it's definitely not in LA.
I mean, the December calendar is Dennis, AD, and Mark, isn't it? Which is, I couldn't believe it. The irony of that.
Couldn't make it up.
Finn, James Hollyoak. Why do you think the gates will go down? You support the club, not the manager.
Can I just touch on that point there?
Yes.
Because there's obviously been a lot of hysteria online, people trying to organise boycotts of games and storming a press conference or fans forum.
Is that really said? Storming a press conference?
Yeah. It's like some of them, yes. It's getting ridiculous now. Look, if you love Robins that much, I don't know why you then want to do something because he's been treated badly. We all accept that. But why would you then want to boycott, which will then starve the club of money if it gathers steam and momentum, which then will basically end up destroying all of Mark Robins' hard work over the last 7.5 years as we tumble back down the leagues if it got that bad. Because I don't think people sometimes really think about what they're saying. And they're just trying to whip up hysteria. They were doing it yesterday with rumours about Ben Sheaf, which turned out to be completely unfounded. And it's, why try and hurt the club when it's clearly going through a bit of a time at the minute?
You've also got young players as well. You haven't got the experienced players. And to my mind, we are the experience for them. We can be the experience, for those players, right? At the moment, we all know we are missing an experienced player. That's nothing to do with it. But these are young lads. I mean, who's the oldest player on the pitch yesterday? I mean, I know I said they're all been there 14 months.
How's you right, probably.
Yeah, it must have been.
He's 26, is he? I'm looking at the team now.
I mean. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not particularly old, is it? Chris said to me about Sheaf. I said, no, I've just heard he's given a post-match interview. He's injured. Yeah. And they just decided not to use him. And I think, why come out with rubbish? And people believe it straight away. And that's what gets me. I don't understand why they just believe. Like, I think it was on the TalkSport interview where another podcast had mentioned Doug King's not going to. Imagine if he's not there now, but they're saying he's not going to be there tomorrow night. I'm getting messages saying, apparently he's not going to be there tomorrow on Monday. I said, well, he is. And then Rob Gurney had to say he's definitely going to be there on Monday. I think why come out of that on Talk Sport and that gets nationally bandied around? I think why do this? I'm amazed.
I think we're not used to. I just think we're not used to having a change of manager. So no one. It's like 7 years since this happened, and people are sort of thinking, "Oh my God, it's sort of." everything's a problem, isn't it? You know, Ben Sheaf not
point.
coming out, yesterday, and everyone looked. It's a massive. I mean, if we win 3 or 4 games, then you're going up, and we're only 6 points off the playoffs, aren't we? I mean, that at the moment. I mean, this league this year could be the weakest it's been for a couple of. And I think that's probably why Doug King's thinking about it. I think he's thinking this is an opportunity.
This is very similar. I mean, I'm not old enough to remember when Jamil left the club. Basically, very similar.
Yeah. It'd be interesting. I was the same as you. When that happened, obviously social media wasn't around, but did people feel the same thing?
Oh, they're very bitter. I mean, I've got old newspapers and that, and then a lot of couples really, really upset because they thought he took the option just to go and do television, and it was basically he was doing television anyway, but it was like our fans thought he'd just given it all up for television, and that was the reason why he left. But he said he wanted a 10-year contract. Our chairman then owner didn't want to do a 10-year contract.
I remember Dave Sexton getting sacked and they brought in Bobby Gould. That was a bit of a lot of people were upset about that. Because Dave Sexton at the time, if you remember, had a great young team: Danny Thomas, Gary Thompson, and all them, and they all ended up leaving. And then Bobby Gould brought in all them new players, if you remember. Yeah,
but also because it was Bobby Gould, there's a lot of people were sort of buoyed by it because it was like an old boy, wasn't it? You see, but we haven't got that now at the minute, have we? Who's going to come in that's going to be that sort of character? Because he was still famous from the late '60s, wasn't he? So Michael Doyle. There's a name.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting you're bringing up like all these managerial changes from the past. There's going to be a lot of fans who are either younger, who have just come back to the club in the last 7 years, or they've just started supporting the club in the last 7 years. But the point is, a lot of our fan base probably have never ever experienced a managerial change at Coventry City. So
that's right.
Will also be fueling a lot of this anger as well. But
the year he came back, we had 4 managers that year, didn't we?
Venus, Mowbray, Slade, and him.
And the thing is as well that 2016 before we came back, and when we had that run of 13 games without a win and 11 with defeats, it got really toxic. It was really toxic, wasn't it? We had that storming of the pitch against Sheffield United in November 2016, and things were getting worse by the game, really.
It was bad.
And Robbins has come in, and the reason we're getting the crowds we are now is because of him, what he's achieved, and the fact that he united the club. And really now, like, I didn't want him to go. I'm gutted he's gone, but we've got to move on because it's done, and no one's going to change that now. And we need to respect his legacy, and his legacy is that we are now a united club. And if we all start infighting again, it wipes out all the work he's done. So that's how I feel now, that we've got to respect on the legacy and the position he's put us in, and move forward from there, not go back to where we were before he came in.
And the players showed that yesterday. I think the players showed that in the second half yesterday. You're 2-0 down. No one expected us to come back. And I think you've got to recognise and pat up those players at the back and follow those players that in the second half, fought for our badge. And it's Coventry. It's a Coventry City badge. You know what I mean? And we'll still be here hopefully in 20 years. We were here 30 years ago. And those players, I thought, walked off that pitch yesterday afternoon. And I think we've got to say well done to them. We've got to follow them.
Yeah. It's interesting, that game yesterday, the first chance Hadji had, that could have hit the post and not gone in. And Radoni's goal gets chalked off for pushing the defender. And we lose 2-0, and we're here going, oh, woe is me, and that. And it just shows you how close it is in this division. Because I've seen some people, I've lost the comment now, it doesn't matter, but they're saying about the second goal. When you in real time, he hit it so hard, I don't think Collins even saw it. It was so hard. I don't think he could get anywhere near it. If your feet are planted, that went like a rocket. The net stopped it slowed it down, basically. It was a rocket. What was annoying was the fact that 5 players didn't actually make a challenge around him. That's something that has to change.
There's fine margins, isn't there, between defeat and victory.
This is from. I realise now what happens is sometimes people start watching at different times, and that's why sometimes the comments aren't always in sequence. So, Dave Flanagan, I agree it was done very poorly. I really feel for Mark. I feel I should have gave him longer. Don't know how you guys feel at the next home game. Mark should be brought onto the pitch to say goodbye. It ain't going to happen. It ain't going to happen, David. It ain't going to happen. It ain't going to happen. We'll put him on an open-top bus and parade him around the street. What they need to do is that the mayor of Coventry, you give him the freedom of the city, don't you? That's what you do to start with.
That's not a bad job.
That's the first thing you do. The freedom of the city. Start with that first.
It could be invited back for a Legends Day. That could work.
Yeah. I might get him I'm going to get him on the pod. I am. And Ray, Caroline, as fans, we can shout our opinions, but we have to respect he is the owner. Yes, I know without fans, he's not got a club, but it is what it is. I predict now we'll soon see investment from America. What's interesting is, and somebody said this, because obviously, we sell 2 players, whatever it is, 45 million. He could have done a Blackpool and like the Oystons and just gone, I'm having that. That's money. I'm not spending it. And he has. Whatever we think of what some people might think about his decision on Thursday, he has given money to the recruitment team to try and buy players. And you have to say that. It may have not been all of it, because that's not how it works. You don't you pay it all in dribs and drabs, don't you, transfers?
Yeah.
But, he has given the money to buy players. And the problem is we've had defenders and forwards costing 4 million sat on the bench. And if I'm the owner of the club, I'm thinking, why have I got defenders and forwards who I've paid 4 million for sat on the bench? Why aren't they playing?
Yeah.
These are things that are going to go through his head. We might find out tomorrow night. Ruben says, do you think Doug King is Sisu in disguise? Rich?
No.
I mean, there was all these rumours about him,
I
weren't there,
can
Rich?
tell you categorically, he's not Sisu in disguise.
I think the problem was the 15% when he first came in.
Yeah.
And I think something must have happened. Maybe the league told him.
I think they were trying to do it. They were trying to do the passover nicely. Do you know what I mean? And really, I think they realised, Doug King, he's got to be clinical. He's got to be clinical. You've got to cut the cord. I think it was a case of, let's do this.
I'm not even sure.
Nice is the wrong word, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, maybe the EFL probably told him you can't. It's a completely clean ownership or whatever. Because it obviously
I think it needs to be done, and also I think it needs to be done quickly. You know what I mean? As in, be quickly, because they were running out of money, and it saved me a few bob as well. So I was over the moon.
Well, if I'd have known, Rich, you could have paid for my roof. It cost me $8,500. Far cheaper than renovations at Brighton.
I've got 4 children, by the way.
I've got
5 horses.
Nothing to do with me. How many horses?
4 or 5 horses.
Blimey.
They're the wife. That's her hobby. I've got football. So.
I was wondering why you walk like John Wayne. That's it now, isn't it? It's a shame it doesn't say who the names are, but it doesn't matter who takes over. The defender's simply not good enough. Until we get new players in, we are going to continue to ship 2 goals a game. Well, this is what we said, I think. Matt B reckons that Robbins was on the phone to Reece Carr at half-time. And what I thought was funny was when people saying, look at them, they're being far more vocal. Then straight away somebody posts a photo of them a few games back doing exactly the same thing. It's grow up. Basically, it's football. It happens. People come and go. It may not be the decisions we want, and we may not want it to happen, but it happens. That's football. If you've seen the letter I wrote about John Sinnott back in 1990 that I found the other day.
Was it complimentary, Claudia?
It wasn't actually, no. But the thing is, there was a lot of fans feeling the same because we'd won the cup in '87, and all the talk was about how we're going to win the league. Now we're going to spend loads of money. We're going to shop in Harrods. This was the owner at the time, and we didn't really move. Nothing happened. It was just the same. I mean, but it wasn't bad. But the expectations go up. And then people started grumbling. We had a terrible start. I can't remember what season it was. And then, like Richard said, Terry Butcher came in, and it got worse, basically.
Well, that's the problem. When what we've done under Robbins, the expectations have gone up, especially for the younger fans, because they've been to Wembley, haven't they, 4 times now? So, and they think, this is great. We'll do this every year, but it just doesn't work that way, as we know.
No, some of us had to wait lots of years for that to happen, didn't they?
Yeah, we had to wait a long time back in '87.
Yeah, it's been rebuilt, hasn't it, from the last time I went?
Well, I was too young for '87, so that was my first time in '17, and so I never even got to the old Wembley.
Yeah,
so I was supported for a very long time before I even got to Wembley.
So Finn says, forget ex-championship managers. We need Roy Keane. He would get them playing every game. God. Imagine that. Ruben says, where was Ben Sheaf? He was injured. They decided not to play him.
He travelled up with the club, obviously. He travelled on the coach.
And Josh, if you noticed yesterday, Josh Eccles travelled up as well, which is
he was on the pitch at the end, wasn't he?
Yeah, it's quite unusual for suspended players to travel. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
which is good.
I think that showed togetherness and the team together. I think that was at the end of the game. You don't normally see. I mean, the likes of Jake Bidwell, Ben Wilson were training on Saturday, so they couldn't travel because they trained on Saturday. But I thought it was great to see Josh Eccles on the pitch, who travelled up on the Friday, and I think that was fantastic. Whoever decided that was brilliant. I think that was
that was good. It was nice to see him on the pitch at the end in the
good.
video.
Yeah. Chifo's on the bench on the pitch. You know what I mean? At the end as well. You know what I mean? So I think they've took a bit of stick, and you can blame them, I suppose. But I just think it was great to see.
Yeah.
I think Josh Eccles like one of the senior players now, isn't he?
Yeah.
Dan Hardy. If we get Lampard in, Doug needs to allow him to use his Chelsea connections to bring in some loan players in January.
I think run out of them. Aidy's run out of them. I think exhausted them through Aidy.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
Ray Carolyn says, I was 1 week out predicting Mark Robins' departure, but I did think they'd say mutual consent. Lampard will be announced at dinner time.
Mm-hmm.
Mick Davenport writes, Agent Robins was dressed in sky blue Sam. He sneaked in the dressing room at half time. Stan Hardy says, Collins was fantastic to run out and block that terrible back pass from Torp yesterday. It would have been a certain goal otherwise. Great keeper on his day. There was another break, wasn't there? Where somebody, I thought, here we go. And then second half, and somebody got hold of it. Yeah. And man, I think it was either Kitchen or Thomas managed to put the block in. I had a horrible feeling at 2-2 there. I think when they put 9 minutes up, I thought,
here we go.
Their fans are walking out, though. Their fans are walking out.
Yeah, I actually thought we could go on and win it. I thought
you felt that. When you were watching it, you felt like it was on us going forward.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, because was it their owner who complained saying they were walking out the ground 10 minutes before the end when they're hammering teams?
Yeah.
So that's really weird. I think I'll just check with Ken because his sound went all weird.
It's gone weird again.
It sounds gone all weird again, Ken. Sorry.
Go back to jail, shouldn't
they? Yeah. Dave Granigan, my question to you all, with all the names that are being thrown around as next manager, who do you guys think it should be? It seems like it's going to be Lampard. We've kind of covered that. I've got no idea. I said this on the radio yesterday because we weren't expecting it, and I had no idea who I'd want now. I would prefer a seasoned Championship manager who's prepared to work with these people he's got now, if possible. But I wouldn't be against Michael Doyle having a shot at being a manager. I wouldn't be against that at all. And I think it'd be a popular choice. I really do.
He's someone that could follow on and sort of bring some unity again, because I think, like you said, he would be popular with a lot of fans and probably help us to sort of mend a few fractions at the moment, wouldn't it? I think so. Yeah, I wouldn't be against that either personally. What
do you reckon, Richard? Do you reckon Michael could come in and do a job?
I think he could, but I think that probably, if our aim is to get the Premier League, I think you need somebody that's. I think Michael Doyle probably 3 or 4 years ago. I think if Mark Robins hadn't lasted so long, I think Michael Doyle 3 or 4 years ago. I think now, I don't think he would probably get. This is probably the wrong thing to say. The respect from the players,
right?
The type of players we've got now. That's not knocking the players. I think they're all different now. But I just.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Actually, I can understand that. Yeah.
They're not going to know him the same, are they? Some of the sort of more high-profile potential candidates, and also won't know what he's done for the club and why the fans would have an affiliation with him. It's the same problem, really, isn't
it? Matt B reckons Radoni cost Robbins his job in the end, or was it foreshadowed? It was. I think it was going to happen. I think it was just going to happen. I wouldn't have been surprised if he had a stay of execution with a couple of decent results we had. What do you reckon, Richard? Do you reckon it was going to happen anyway? Are we all frozen?
Oh, no. Well,
Richard, this is a weird night, this is.
Everything's going wrong.
As I mentioned, Doug King, my screen freezes. What's going on?
Can you hear me now? Okay.
Yeah, you're okay now. So I get Rich back in the room. Is he?
Am I back? You hear me, right?
Yeah.
That's like you're in jail now, Rich.
Yeah, I've had to change me machine's run out of battery. I've now changed onto my phone now. I've got my son to come in. I've got my son to come in and charge it, but he didn't do it. So
I thought you'd gone out to muck the horses out or something.
No. I've done that already. I'll do that at 5:30 every day. Going back, I think when he came in, like you say, Mark Robins, I think, was always going to be under pressure. And I think as soon as last year he wanted an FA Cup run, which he got. And I think this year he wants to get Doug Kingnesses into the top 6.
Yeah.
The other problem you've got is these players after this season are going to be into their sort of 3rd year of their contract.
Yeah.
So they've got 3-4 year contracts. So that asset is going to, go down, or is into the value of them actually coming to the end of their contracts and going for free. So I think there's a lot of pressure on this season. That we need to or get into that top 6.
Yeah, because obviously a new manager may come in and by the end of the season may be thinking on some of the players, well, I know he's got a year to go, but I'm not bothered if he stays or not.
Yeah.
He's not what I want.
Yeah.
So, Ken, you wanted to say something? Sorry.
Yeah, Claudia, I just got a couple of things I just wanted to show. Basically, Remembrance Sunday today, obviously. And we had, there we go, our Lee Cowell, who normally comes on the programme. You remember Lee? He's there with Dave Boost, Carl Baker and Billy Bell. Obviously at the Memorial Park today to represent the club with the floral tributes. So that was nice. And obviously then, we had a badge as well with the memorial. So that's all I wanted to say. Basically, with Remembrance Sunday, I just wanted to show that picture.
Yeah, I watched it this morning. Actually, we delayed going supermarket shopping. We decided to sit and watch the cenotaph and all that. It's a funny day for me today because apart from that, it's the anniversary. My mum died on the 10th of November, so it's quite a It's for me, it's quite a it's poignant that it falls always round about Remembrance Sunday. So it's So we watched that this morning, and it's so moving. And I've got to say, Sunderland's display was incredible, wasn't it?
It was,
With the training shirts as well, and the whole floral thing they did, the poppies. Fair play to them. That was brilliant. I mean, some of them didn't get the message because they didn't hold the cards up, did they? But the ones that did made it look really good. So we have Haji's big toe. It's I'll be more than happy with Lampard guarantees money being spent on recruits in the next couple of windows, and like it or loathe it, he is a big name with potentially get some of the deals we have missed out on over the line. Stamanic and Brown. I'll tell you what was good. that we made substitutions that changed the game yesterday, and they made substitutions that fell into our hands because the guys they brought on were nowhere near as good as the ones they took off.
No.
You know, it's amazing when your manager thinks the game is won and they decide to change things.
Did they go straight at the back in the second half?
Yeah,
you couldn't really tell. You know, when you're watching it live, you don't really see it, do you? But someone said they went to 3 at the back.
They did. They changed it. And the guy they brought on, I think what Sunderland fans were saying, he's got low confidence, you know, and it showed. He had a chance in the second half and he fluffed it as well. So, you know, it does show.
I think there's a shout out to the Sunderland stewards as well yesterday. I think there was an emergency incident, wasn't there?
Yes.
In the crowd, I believe the game got stopped slightly. We might not have noticed it if you're watching on telly. There was a bit of a delay in one of the free kicks. The referee got informed there was one fan took ill. Did he, Richard? Did you see it? Was it near you?
Yeah, I heard it afterwards. Yeah.
Was it Sunderland or Coventry fan?
Sunderland
fan.
Yeah, and there was like I've seen it on social media that the stewards acted fastly, like to get this guy in medical treatment.
So sorry. Finn's put. I can't imagine Claudio skating. No, it's not ice hockey. It's normal hockey on the Astro. I've tried skating twice. I nearly broke somebody's fingers. That's it. Useless.
Oh.
Yeah. I hate people who skate. Have you been there? You go there, and they're going around doing little spins. And they're really
so confident. Yeah, it's all confidence, Claudia.
I just hold the rail. I just hold the rail. Keep going on the outside.
Yeah, just hold that rail.
Absolutely hated it. Tried it twice. Nearly died. Never again. It was Bambi on ice. You're right, Finn. Mick Davenport, I think Robbins was going to go no matter what. I don't think he was a yes man and his own opinions, which didn't suit Doug. Matt's put, maybe Doug's played a blinder, only time will tell. This is the point. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know who's really coming in, and it could work out for the best. You can't judge this decision until the end of the season, really, can we?
No.
You know, we got... PSB Jake, evening all. Would you take Lampard as new manager, or do you think he's the man to take us to the final step to Prem? We've answered that. I think Richard feels he could be if he comes in. Vicky, not so much. Ken's not fussed.
Not too bothered. Well, whatever the day, he's got to start. He's got to hit the ground running, hasn't he? Because if he has a bad start.
That's right. Yeah.
Then the fans are going to get onto him. That's the problem.
Well, the problem now is if he comes in and has a bad run start next season, do we expect him to be sacked?
Yes,
because
exactly.
He's set like a president, hasn't he, of sacking Robbins after this run.
Yeah.
That's why I said I can't see us having long-term managers. You know what I mean? I can just see us now. Hopefully not a Watford, but you know what I mean. Sort of every 2 years. You know.
Well, the thing is, it'll either be an 18-month contract or 2.5.
Yeah. But also that manager will be able to walk away, you know, because Mark Robbins had a 4-year contract. So he's never going to walk away, it'd be stupid to. But someone who's got a 12-month, 18-month contract, you know, if they don't like it, they can walk away.
So a contract like that, then, that's Doug King protecting his asset, isn't it, really? Because he knows if somebody came in for him, they'll get paid off.
They'll pay for it, yeah. And I think that's where, you know, AD was a 4. And I think that's where Dennis Lawrence didn't get one. Yeah. You know, that's never been answered, really, why you'd give, you know.
I mean, basically, that's pretty much why he went, didn't he? Because he wasn't offered a new contract.
Yeah. Well, he starts looking, don't you? If you've got those two given 4-year contracts, and then you're not given one, you're living away. I mean, his family lived down in Wrexham. You're living away from home. And you're thinking, what's going on? And then people, you know, his agent's looking, and he gets an offer. He got a fantastic offer, but you're not too sure if that would have come up if he'd have been given that contract.
Yeah, he needs security for his family, doesn't he? You know,
That's
what he'll look for.
Dave Best, gutted the way it ended with Robbins, but we definitely needed a change. We've been poor for so long with the odd decent half here and there. Formation tactics never changed under Robbins. Craig Robinson from Sky Blue Fans Forum, the best forum on Facebook, apparently. Regarding the names being mentioned to replace MR, I'd rather have Sky Blue Sam at the helm. You're obsessed with Sky Blue Sam, Craig. What's up here? Any of them clowns? DK wants to own his circus. He's got one now. Also, Craig, I think he's been under the weather. Hopefully he'll get sorted pretty soon. Matt B. reckons new manager unveiled tomorrow. Mini Phoenix Gaming. It'll definitely be next week. Give them a week with the players. Wouldn't surprise me if DK was already in talks before sacking MR. I did once see Frank Lampard in Coventry, but that was about 4 years ago, so I can't start that room because he was driving towards Birmingham, A45. So,
do you think Dr. Clare's also getting involved?
Well, I think Dr. Clare's getting too involved.
Well, it took us an hour and a half to mention her name. That's what I just thought. So.
Somebody says she's on annual leave.
You know what would be nice?
Yeah, she is.
What would be nice if, obviously, we heard, that's the first time I've heard Reece Carr speak.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be nice if they profiled the coaches and did some sort of vignette, whatever you want to call it, to the fans where they can interact with the fans, we can see what they're doing, who they are, because they're all a bit fake. I mean, we know Boateng, but they're all a bit faceless to me. It's like, who are these people?
And what's their job? You know, maybe that lady should come out and tell us exactly what job she does, because I still don't know what job she's actually. I know she's performance director, but what does that entail?
Well, I would,
because there's lots of people there, and because we don't really know exactly what any of them do. In any sort of detail, it allows rumours and rubbish to spread on social media.
I think she has brought quite a lot to the party, as in on with the physios, and there's lots more. It's more professionally run now. I think she's done that, certainly from what I can see and hear. With the guys that are there, I think there's quite a lot of she's done behind the scenes, but. You can't see it with your own eyes, can you? You need to see that or be told that. You know what I mean? It's that's
because people out there make assumptions, don't they?
Yeah, and there's lots of rubbish you read on social media about,
and then all sorts of rumours start. Yeah.
I mean, you talk to the physios. I think they're a lot happier. And I think that's and I think that's what also is a bit sad. What's going on? There's a lot of people that are probably physios, masseurs that have been there for 5 or 6 years. You know, those guys could lose their jobs.
Yeah.
If someone comes in and says, "Right, I want new people coming in," and I think that's a shame because they've been there through thick and thin.
Yeah.
This is regarding tomorrow night, as well as questions about the manager tomorrow. Will questions be asked about the transfer policy and process? Who's responsible for transfers? Who identify? Oh, I'm going to write these down. These are good questions. Who identifies required positions and players to fill those positions? Will the incoming manager coach be responsible for identifying players he requires? And will King give him a good budget? Right. You know I am. You know who I am. Send me a private message. Right? Because at the minute, and I'm being honest here, I've not been asked to ask any questions yet. I don't think anybody has. So I don't know when it can be done. I don't know how it's going to be done. I have got no idea. And I'm being truthfully honest. I've got no idea. So it could be all tomorrow where we get to submit a question. I don't know. Or it could be on the night.
Are you going as part as Leamington and Warwick supporters club? So they've got two, haven't they? Is it two per club or something?
Yeah, that's right.
Are you going, Richard?
No, I've not. I'm not seen the invite yet.
It's part. He's going because obviously there's not that many supporter groups. So you know what I mean. It could be a very clever photo shot of making it look like 100 people, where there could be about 20. Yeah. So I don't know. I just don't know. I mean, in all honesty, he doesn't have to do this.
No, that's right.
You know, he doesn't have to do this. He doesn't have to front up to anybody, even though a lot of owners don't. They just do what they want. I bet the guy at Chelsea didn't before we kicked him out of the country. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? They don't. So, you know, I think this is quite unusual for an owner to do this, actually, to have a forum. I can have a press conference, yes, but to actually have a forum, you know, in fact, our club is quite unique in that respect. When you look at the players' meetings and stuff as well, there's not many players. In fact, I don't know any clubs who do that. Long may it continue. Hadji's big toe. Lampard got to playoff final first season, Champions League under embargo at Chelsea, kept Everton up. Better CV than anyone else. Also, surely our coaches are still in probationary period, so can keep some and bring in some of his own. Will cost nothing if it's probationary period. Well, we'll see. But
two of them have been there for quite a while, haven't they? The ones that are promoted. John Dempster and Mark Delaney have been within the club for 3-4 years.
Someone's telling me here, I don't know why Facebook not putting the names up. Dean Austin and Doug at Forum tomorrow. Well, that'd be interesting if the Dean Austin's are there.
Well, he's the only one left, isn't he? If Dr. Clare's on holiday, there's only Dean Austin.
So that'd be good if he's there because of recruitment. Because I want to know actually if the players coming in aren't good enough, who takes the blame for that? Who actually recruits and decides who we bring in? So I think the fans would like to know that because it's got to a point now where a lot of fans think, well, Robin's got nothing to do with it whatsoever, or he has got something to do with it. But it'd be nice if it was cleared up. Robbie Keane has been heavily backed in over the last few hours. Oh, so I mean that's a risk, isn't it?
That'd be terrible. I think that'd be terrible.
Well, he hasn't got any experience, really, has he? He's been over in America, hasn't he?
Well, I would prefer Michael Dool over him.
Yeah, I would as well.
At least some managerial experience.
Yeah.
I'd want Robbie Keane on the pitch. I want him on the bench.
Yeah. Just to say about Hadji's big toe, I think misunderstood the point I made earlier. He thought I was saying that they brought in those of loans at Chelsea, but I said I meant they brought in those loans from Chelsea at Derby. I know that they were under an embargo, so just to clear up that he obviously thought I meant something I didn't there. So
Well, Mason Mount was one of them, I think.
Yeah, some quality. Some Derby fans are saying that they should have gone up automatically with the players he had. So it swings and roundabouts, isn't it?
Well, I know Martin Wagwell, and I spoke to him, and he said Lampard's brilliant. Was brilliant.
Yeah.
All right, that's good. That Mini Phoenix came in. To be fair, most of the work at Luton to get them promoted was done by Nathan Jones. Edwards just got them over the line. That's a good point. Good point, actually. But he's not as good looking, is he, though? He hasn't got the Hollywood looks. Gibbo. DK's ambition is to get us to the promised land. Listen to Paul Merson's point he made. A big name will attract more attention and better players to our club. Thank you, Mark Robbins. I did hear that, actually. And he said, who used to talk about Plymouth?
Yeah.
They do every week now.
Yeah.
Paul Cuttiford. Frank Lampard has the smell of Wayne Rooney about him.
Well, I hope not.
Is that some sort of aftershave? The smell of Wayne
Wayne Rooney essence.
The essence of old lady. Yes.
You write these down all day? Do you write these down all day just to come off when you're going to use them?
No, it just come ahead. It's just, I don't know, got some sort of Tourette's. Dave Best, it's Lampard. I saw Christine Bleakley, that's her name, isn't it? At Tesco early. Which one? Frank was in the car park enjoying a Burger King. DK, oh dear. Mad Frankie DK is more slimy than the Brill cream on his Barnet. I've got to say, it's not very good Brill cream. It's rubbish. I used to wear it back in the day when it was worth wearing. Dave Connolly, Claudio, going to the Forum tomorrow. Yes, I am going. I'll probably get an email in the morning saying you can't come because you said you were going. But all that's happened there is, because we've got a meeting later on in the month as well, and they brought this like an emergency meeting and brought it forward.
Yeah.
So there's that as well, but we still have another one. But it must. We all know what it's about, basically. Carl Holly, we need to back the new manager, whatever it is. Sad seeing Robbins get sacked. Doug King wants to take our football club up the table, not in a relegation battle. This is from Andrew Gray. Hopefully, when the 3 out of 5 seasons reaching the playoffs is inevitably fails, Doug will do the honourable thing and clear off. Before would be nice. No to Lampard, specialist in failure. This is going to be quite a divisive appointment if it is Frank Lampard. I mean, it's weird, isn't it?
People always going to rally against them, though, because they're not Robins. A lot of them want Robins gone, so the natural reaction would be to rally against the appointment.
What if? Because some clubs do take their time getting an appointment in, don't they? They wait. What happens if Reece Carr's in charge for the next 3 or 4 matches and we don't lose? You know, it's a weird one, isn't it? And he's part of this. He's part of this coaching regime. Yeah,
I can't see that happening with Big Dog, but it did want to do it ASAP, and I think the timing of it just by the international break as well, which gives them a little bit of a time. But I think it'll be announced in the next 48 hours. I think
tomorrow's probably a safe bet with this forum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing is as well, whether or not we think, like, we've obviously divided on whether we think Frank Lampard's a good appointment or not, and we all have our different views on who we like. But ultimately, once that decision is made, we just have to all move forward together, don't we? Like, it doesn't matter. At the moment, I said to you yesterday, didn't I, Chris? We were speaking about it, that we might all be sharing our views on who we'd like, but ultimately, once it's a done deal, we get behind them and we move forward.
Yeah.
Fran Hunter says, I'm not taking for granted that we'll get a new head coach announced tomorrow. The club statement states the club will take its time to appoint a successor to Mark.
Well, the issue is the club might have taken its time. We don't know what's been going on behind the scenes. Like, a lot of us theorised that maybe he's wanted Robins out for a while, and that's what all the changes were about. And if that's the case, he might have been lining up this guy for a while Robins was still in situ. So, you know, none of us know what's been to that detail, and none of us know what's been going on behind the scenes. I don't think the search started on Thursday after Robins got sacked.
No. He's also de-risked it as well, because Mark had full control gradually the last 12 months. He's de-risked it. If Mark walked away, so he's done the right thing in one sense, that, you know, we've got 4 coaches there at the moment who can take, who know what they're doing, hopefully.
Yeah. Lampard is the equivalent of ordering a new Lamborghini and a Fiat 500 turns up. I don't know why to pick an Italian.
Just another one, actually, we haven't spoken about, but he's been quite heavily backed on. Some reports have said it's going to be him. Is that Bloomfield from Wickham? I don't know. What does everybody think about that?
I don't know enough about him. I actually don't. I know he played for Wickham. That's about it. Ken?
No, same as you, mate. I don't know nothing about him. I think his lack of experience will be concerning to everybody. That'd be the main thing. Okay, he's doing well for Wickham at the moment, but that's a completely different level to where we're at now.
Yeah, definitely. He got
interviewed. Not for me. I wouldn't agree. I'd rather have Lampard, to be honest. You know,
last night on the football highlights program on ITV, he actually had a little snippet of comment after his match, which is unusual. So I'm guessing that's because of the rumours. And obviously, he's done the usual managerial thing, but reading between the lines on his comments, I would suggest that it's probably not him.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I'll be very surprised.
Any thoughts on that? The guy from Wickham?
Well, going back to what I said earlier, he's probably 2 years too late. We could have him 2 years ago, you know, I mean, to get him experience. But, you know, if our aim is to get to the Premier in 2 years or 3 years, I don't think he's the guy that's going to be doing it.
No.
Yeah, it's like the panic button's been pushed, hasn't it? Neil Jakes, I did Robins is our king banner. Ah, did you, Neil? Been in touch with the club a few times about it, haven't had a response. Oh. It's not good, is it? So this is from he has done more than sack MR. Doug has ripped the heart out of the club and its fans by dismantling everything. I might have to mute Chris here. Adrian Lawrence has built over 7 years. This just smacks of Birmingham and Eustace scenario all over again. It could do, actually, with an owner who has no clue about football. The atmosphere on the supporters club coach yesterday going to the game was just so different and subdued, with Robins we always believed. Now, that obviously wasn't with the Leamington and Warwick, because I've seen, in fact, videos of their coach. Yeah. But I can understand that. And I mean, it does feel funny. And I don't care if anybody's watched those videos. Somebody's done a video, haven't they, of the last 7 years or the highlights. You get goosebumps. You do. And you can feel yourself welling up to some of it. They are magical moments. I mean, and the Torp goal that wasn't given. Even now talking about it, me and Chris. He was stalking me at the time. He was sat next to me. I mean, it was unbelievable, wasn't it, Chris? We all know how it was. It's just unbelievable, and to feel that emotion with so many other City fans, hugging people you wouldn't even talk to in the street normally. You know what I mean? But I wouldn't.
While we're on that subject, because I know we asked everybody last programme, Vicky wasn't here. What was your big memory of Mark Robins, Vic?
Good question.
We didn't get a chance to ask.
I think, it's hard, isn't it? Because there's been so many over the.
We struggled. We went
through the whole 7 years.
I think I'd have to say, if I was going to try and narrow it down to one, I'd probably say like the checker trade against Oxford, just because obviously I'm too young for Wembley '87, so I've never seen Coventry at Wembley. I've never seen us win anything. So just the chance of getting to Wembley was a dream come true. So, and then we weren't the favourites on that day because obviously Oxford had been there the year before. At that time, they were doing better than us, so they were the favourites to win. And just him leading us out, and the fact he managed that victory, and then gave me the belief that actually he could. That was a day that I thought this is going to get better. Yeah. And that's why I'll always remember that day for a couple of reasons.
You're welling up, Vicky. You're welling up.
Chris, what's your outstanding memory of Mark Robins?
So, as great as the Wembley visits were, and they did mean an awful lot to me. I remember the checker trade trophy. I remember saying on the day on Facebook that although in the grand scheme of things, this means nothing to football today, it means the world to me. But Robins gave me my best ever away day that I loved, and that was the Notts County playoff semi-final. And just that memory of all the players and Robins at the side of the pitch with with the fans still celebrating. At that point, I knew we were going to get promoted. There's no way we were going to lose to Exeter in the final. And just that feeling of, of hope, and we're on the rise, we're going back up, that feeling in that stadium on that day is probably my overriding memory of Robins.
Yeah, I think that's what Robins did. He created that belief that when it mattered, we would do it.
Yeah,
I think after that Notts County game, I felt the same. I thought he'll sort it when we get to this playoff final against Exeter. Mark Robins is going to sort this. We're going to win this game.
Yeah,
and that was the belief that, and the sort of faith it sort of developed really. And another thing about that Notts County game, I always think a lot of fans miss out on when you watch them subsequently when they all charge on the pitch at the end of games. The fact that we all stayed on in the crowd and allowed them to come along, and we all sang backwards and forwards. I think
that's right. We did, yeah.
Lots of fans who run on, they just miss out on all that. They don't get to celebrate properly with the players because they all rush off. And I always think that's a shame.
Richard, I saw you've got many memories of Robins.
I might cry now. I mean, I've got.
I suppose Notts County's up there, isn't it?
Well, I think checker trade Wembley because it enabled me to go with my three boys. I never thought I'd take my three boys to Wembley to watch Coventry play. That one. I think Middlesbrough away in the playoff semi-final because I never thought we'd get to the playoff final. And I shouldn't say this, but they all came back here afterwards. We had a fantastic party, and we ended up in Leamington. We went to Leamington at 9 o'clock in the morning to Wetherspoons and got kicked out because we were thinking going to Wembley. And then the third one, I'll just for the laugh really. I think coming downstairs and seeing him having breakfast on my breakfast table with my kids and my wife was brilliant as well. So he's a friend as well, really. Because I'm lucky. I'm lucky. You know what I mean? And I know I helped the club, and he didn't have to open his arms to me. You know, he let me go. It was my birthday. We played Bournemouth and we drew to when Todd Kane scored.
Yeah.
And he rang me up and he said, "Oh, for your birthday, I'll let you come down on the night before the bus." You know what I mean? And I said no, right? And I went into my wife and she said, "What are you doing?" So I rang him back and I said, "I'm coming," because we were doing something. You know what I mean? I didn't, you know, I didn't. I never. People think I sort of took liberties. I didn't. You know, I never wanted to cross that line. Sometimes I just wanted to keep in the background with it. And I thought, and then actually, Sarah said go. So I rang him back and you know he let me go on the coach before. And in that, and you know, doing things like he didn't have to do that. He didn't have to do that.
That's
and
brilliant. Yeah.
You know, I'll be very thankful for him. You know, he's a friend. I spoke to him yesterday, and we'll meet up, whatever. You know what I mean? And we don't always talk about football, to be honest. You know, and I don't ask him a lot of stuff. And he got me into Tesla. I've got a Tesla car. And he got me into Tesla's cars as well. So yeah. Thing. But yeah, I've got loads of things really. You know what I mean?
Oh, you're into the old electric cars now, yeah, that's good.
If it had asked me, Richard, I'd brought my boots on the coach.
I know, well, yeah, it was. And I'll tell you a little bit on that. It was in the morning. I was trying to keep out of the way actually, and Michael Rose had gone, had got a flu or something overnight, and I came down and Mark Robbins is at 8:30 picking the, having to change the team. But also, I might get a thank you for this in a minute. Michael Rose would have had to stay with the team all day. There was no facility for him to get home. So I got him, Antonio, who Mark had. I got him to come and pick Michael Rose up in the morning. Otherwise, he'd have to stay all day. You know, they have no facility to get players back or anything. So that's not about me. But no, I would be thankful for him and, forever, really. You know what I mean? But, he wants the best. What I would say to you, he wants the best for Coventry City. You know what I mean? So he won't be wanting us not to fail. You know, he'll want us to. You know, he's pleased with yesterday's result. He was over the moon. The team came back and got that result. So he won't be, jumping through windows or hoping. He'll be one of the best for us.
Yeah.
Well, they're still his players, aren't they?
Yeah.
Did you go to the Fizzy Moon? I can't remember now.
Been a few times.
The playoff final afterwards.
Well, no, because I also because I've been to Madrid the day before. No, Kiev and I couldn't go because I was going out on holiday. So no.
Because when I was there that night, but the great thing about it was, I loved it anyway. But it's my lad. He was 16 at the time, and obviously underage drinking. Getting drinks bought for him by players. I was just watching him having a great time. He couldn't believe it. He couldn't believe it.
Right. Although I've got three lads. I've got three lads that have sort of grown up. You know, they call Fads Uncle Fads. Vic. So I'm going to see Vic next week. He's got Sweden, Slovakia. So we've got me and the three lads going out to see Vic next week. We're playing Sweden. But yeah, the players with the kids have been brilliant. Not just my kids, but you know what I mean? Like you say, they've embraced them brilliant. So.
Yeah, it was brilliant. You spent all night trying to get Michael Dawes to sing the Michael Dawes song, and in the end, Mark Robbins started it off. They've got some great video.
I've got some.
This is why. We're slightly upset about it. It is an integral part of the last 7 years, and he will be thought of, I think, this generation, like the old generation did with Jimmy Hill and with John Smith and George Curtis, because they achieved something magnificent at this club. It may for other clubs, it may not seem that big. Yeah, whatever. You got up from League Two, whatever. But it is, because we know where this club was 7.5 years ago.
Yeah.
We were 6 months from going completely gone. Yeah. I think that's what people need to realise. So don't take it lightly what Mark Robbins did. Him and the people there, Dave Boddy, a few of the others, were all part of that. And we need to remember that. We really, really need to.
He deserves He deserves.
Well, he's up there, isn't he? Without a shadow of a doubt.
I just want to say another thing to Richard. I was in Germany when you had Carr McFadden on the phone, when he was singing Mount the Fazza song in the pub. Yeah. And then all of a sudden McFadden, who'd left the club, but obviously, and we were all singing Carl McFadden's song, and all these Germans were like joining in as well, weren't they?
I FaceTimed him. But he loved that. He loved that. I tell you what, you know, he's a good mate of mine, and I've got to know him. And you miss him. You miss him off the pitch. You know what I mean? He walks into a room and players look up to him. I mean, he's a big miss. He's a big miss to us.
Massive miss.
Not having him stay on as a coach.
Yeah. But that he wanted to go and play though. He wanted to go. You know, he wants to play because he's got a young lad who I think he'll be 2 now. So I think his dream is for his young lad to see him play football. You know what I mean? So that's sort of what he's trying to achieve, which is brilliant.
Fair play to him. Yeah, fair play to him.
We've gone over 2 hours and 10 minutes.
Are people still watching? Is it just us boys?
We've got about 700 people watching in a minute.
I've got hundreds of messages that I can't read, and I apologise. There have been so many, but thank you so much for taking part tonight. I'm going to read just a couple more. There's got to big up the channel. I wish there was names of these. There's this one here. On a more positive note, Sky Blue Fans TV is the best Coventry City podcast channel. Love it. That's is that somebody we know? Is that a relative? Is it or something?
It might be Miles from Jamaica.
Lee Dan says, "Good evening, people. Lee Cardy would be my pick, but doubtful. If we reach top 6 under new manager, then DK's pulled a master stroke. Well, to be honest, if we have, it'll be the manager's pulled the master stroke from where we are at the minute, unless he is picking the team." Stan Hardy, Lampard is a public figure, enjoys his match of the day appearances here and there and Super Sunday. One of the concerns with him, he doesn't want the public to forget him. It's like a side hustle. Well, this is interesting because I think this is what happened with Jimmy Hill, because our chairman then and owner, Derek Robbins, wanted him to sort of curtail all that because he felt it was, taking his concentration on everything else from the club. He packs up and goes and does TV, so that's why some people were upset with him. Lee Dan says, most will dislike what DK has done, the way he did it, but maybe this proves how ambitious DK is. I believe he already had someone in mind prior to sacking MR. Who do the panel want? We've covered that. It's just a shame we haven't got names. Josh Wilson's, Sheaf, Bidwell, only ones that have been very effective with MR leaving, has been for a long time here. The rest are still new to the club. Day Sports Photos, Claudio King said, we want to be around the playoffs 3 times in the next 5 seasons, and Mark knows that. I guess you're right in that he didn't include Mark in that vision, just he was aware of it. And also, I'm going to finish on this one. Okay. Jay Kent says, how can you possibly want Doyle if we are going to get him to the Prem? Either a proven manager that has got teams out of this league or a manager that has managed at the top. Lampard fits that. That's a good point. That's exactly what Richard said. The 11th Warwick CCFC Supporters Club, Carr go beep beep. So someone's had a drink. Is Mike Reid still with the club? I think he's a secretary, isn't it? It seems together through the dark times, through the playoff final, have been sympathetically removed. If Mike is still around, he's got to be feeling vulnerable, as is the only one left. Hornby as well is the other one.
Yeah, Mark Hornby's there. Suzette there as well.
Oh, Suzette, from Qatar and left, didn't he? Yeah. Well, that's about it, isn't it, Claudio?
I think so. Thank you very much. We'll be back. Well, we could do an impromptu show if we do find out.
Yeah.
If somebody is announced, because no doubt would. We want to talk about it, won't we? So
yeah, we are due back online next show Thursday night, 7:30. But so you never know, we might have to come back a little bit earlier if we find any news before that. But thanks, Richard. Thanks for coming on. Chris, as normal, thank you very much, Chris, for your comments. And Victoria, thank you very much as well.
Yeah, and
Claudio as well. And sorry about the technical issues. We've had a couple of technical issues tonight, but hopefully we got round them in the end, didn't we?
Yeah, and I'll just leave you with this. Man City have lost 4 games in a row. How rubbish is Guardiola?
Well, there you go.
Fans are calling for his head. It's crazy.
I can't believe that for 1 minute, Vicky. Manager out after losing games.
Looking good, King's not in charge.
Yeah. Blues, everybody, and
Blues, and a very good night to you all, and hopefully see you Thursday, if not before.
And it's what a great point at the Stadium of Light. That's the main thing. We got a point.
Yeah, yes. Why not?
Sky Blue Fans TV, for the fans, by the fans.